J Squad.
We gotta find now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. The program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? How y'all doing today? I got a problem I'm trying to figure out, so y'all got to hold on with me here. For some reason, my event box is failing, but it still has it so it dings every time y'all message. Just like that. You might want to jump in later. That's fine. We can jump in later. Let me see if I can get this fucker to work. I don't want to have to, like, completely redo my docs. How do I do that? Yeah, I know the ding won't go away. Let's see here. Plugin settings. Let's go here. Oh, here we go. Restore plugin docs. Boom. Now let's see here. Did it even show up? Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Y'all can't see it. I'm not going crazy, but that's stream chats. I don't want stream chats. I just want stream events. There we are. There you are. Get over here, you little bastard. There you go. No more beeps. No more dings. No more nothing. Just good old us. Last day of work before your vacation. Nice, nice. I like to hear it. I like to hear it. Boop. So, y'all have seen what we're going to talk about today. First of all, we're going to go over the apology. I'm a little late because I haven't been doing it. May and June tend to be a little busy as we get ready for my daughter's recital. But hopefully I can keep it together and keep more consistent on my streams from this point on. But what? So here he is. Here's our boy of the hour, the rat himself, Otterly Noah. We all know him for his plagiarism allegations, which were true. And we let that one go off just to find out that he was copyright striking people in the back end, or having his people copyright strike them. I only watched Noah's apology yesterday. Why is it still making noise? There. I think that'll do it. I only just watched Noah's apology yesterday. I can't say if I really believe him or trust him. That's my kind of thing too. I've already watched this apology. We're just kind of go over what my opinion is of it, and things that I've said about Noah before. Welcome, Kira, by the way. Welcome. So let's get started with this fiasco, and then we'll get into the fun stuff.
The problems I caused during the month of April. A video by the user named Calesto came out.
Yes, I saw that. Which one of these are fucking dinging? What is this? I don't want chat box notifications. They're off. They're off. Jesus Christ. All right. We'll see what happens. I can't believe I had to agree with a piece of shit like Templar on this topic alone. No shit. I remember seeing that tweet, and it's like, fuck me. Having to agree with people I don't necessarily agree with on a lot of things is a pain in the ass. Let's see here. Speaking of false flaggers, are you going to be talking about Chibi Review's case on false flagging? Yeah, I've thought about going into that and talking about it, because now we have like three people who have been outed as false flaggers. Chibi Reviews has been caught in DMs doing it, though he's saying it's a lie. We may have to pull those up if we have time after the Saros stuff. Then yeah, I want to kind of get into that and take a look at it. Though he's going after everybody for it, right? I don't have monetization, so I don't have to worry about that. But maybe he'll try and take down. He probably won't even see my little stream. We'll just go with that. So anyway, let's continue here with old Noah.
Hey everyone, if you're watching this video and you're a regular viewer of the channel, you're probably aware of all the problems I caused during the month of April. A video by the user named Calesto came out in
that's one way to say it.
April called Anti-Woke Criticism is Fine, Debunking Otterly Noah. This video went over many of my videos from last year and also discussed my plagiarism controversy from the start of this year. I was incredibly petty seeing this video when it came to my attention, and because of that, I made the wrong choice of having my artist, Deus Marionette, who has created the PNGs that I use for my avatar in my videos, create a claim on the video by claiming her art being used in the thumbnail. This
I
was a
get it. That
wrong
makes
thing to do
sense.
for multiple reasons. Not only did I have an artist and friend of mine of 3 years put a claim on a video that I just simply didn't like because it was a criticism of me, I was actively disingenuous to her and did not give her the full story on what the video was actually about, and also stated that the video was racist to her. On top of this, even outside of all of that, Deus's art being used in the thumbnail by Callisto is absolutely fair use, so this was something that couldn't be claimed regardless. On YouTube, especially if you're someone declaring yourself as a critic, you have to be able to take criticism
this is
yourself.
gonna be
I was not
annoying.
able to do that here, and on top of this, I had my artist claim a video that was a rightful criticism of me and also fell under fair use. It was egomaniacal and selfish of me for many reasons. My actions here have hurt a lot of
See, the first problem I have with this, as you hear it going out, you can tell it's just like a very scripted apology. I'm not against writing a script in general, but I don't know. It doesn't sound very genuine to me.
people, and that's something that can't be changed, but I want to try to make things right any way I can. I want to apologize specifically to Deus Marionette, the artist I approached to put a claim on Callisto's video. Deus has been a longtime friend and supporter of what I do here, and it was incredibly wrong for me to put her up to putting a claim on a video that I just simply didn't like. I want to apologize to Callisto for putting a claim on his video to begin with, which was a rightful criticism of me and how I handle the Hunting Grizzly Bears videos. I want to apologize to Kinoflex, who I lied to during the events of this, and I try to act like I didn't know anything at all about Deus striking down Callisto's video. I want to apologize to Jan as well for doing this exact same thing to him. I want to apologize to the Birdman for not being truthful with him when he originally approached me about this situation and asked for more details on how Callisto's video got a claim on it. I want to apologize to Wargaming Dad for lying to his face when he
Goddamn
came to me
right.
asking about information on this situation. As you can see here, I made the
Here's the thing, like, about apologizing for this kind of stuff. This was all incredibly malicious, right? He knew what he was doing. He knew that what he was doing was wrong. He's only apologizing now because he got caught. If he'd have got away with this, nothing, would have happened. Nothing would have happened. We would keep going on until he did it again and eventually got caught. So it all feels really empty that he would be apologizing now. He's trying to save face, even though he said he was trying to get off the internet, right?
the claim in this DM to Wargaming Dad that Deus didn't understand fair use, which is false, of course, and this was just deflection from me. I was the one who put her up to claiming the video to begin with, and in fact, after this entire situation, it should be obvious that I was the one who did not understand fair use whatsoever.
Yeah, this to me is like just an outright lie. He knows what fair use is. He's been doing this for what, like about a year? There's no way, there's no fucking way that he didn't know what he was doing was against copy or wasn't copyright, right? He was just mad, so he was trying to find a way to get around the ban. Jesus Christ. This is just going to keep happening. He really lied to everyone, yeah. He only apologized because he's got fucking caught. True. I had to gag typing that shit. Where's Morale's apology? Where's Dicker's apology? Where's Nick Andrews' apology? Hell yeah, Templar deserves an apology. I mean, it is. You're going to hear him, listen to him here in a minute.
I want to apologize to Simon Robinow for recording him in a Discord call with Deus without his permission or knowledge, since I live in a one-party consent state and thought it would be okay, but it was a massive violation of his trust and Deus's trust.
Yeah, I mean, why would you think that this is okay to use? Like, all right, I'm going to say if you're on the internet and you're in Discords and you're doing things like that, especially if you're a content creator, expect that you should expect that you're being recorded. That's just how it works. But the way he cut this clip to make Deus sound like a crazy artist is very like he made this choice to do this, right? He made the choice to go ahead and strike, or to record this, specifically cut out that section. We still haven't seen the release of this whole video anywhere, so we don't know everything that was said.
I want to apologize to Q and Jasmine for causing her to feel like she wasted her time making art for me since she'd made the thumbnail I was going to use on my Rev Says Desu Pro ZD video right before all of this happened. I also want to offer an apology to Anthony Garuglia and causing him to feel like the advice he gave me during the plagiarism drama was completely wasted on me and causing him to feel betrayed in general.
What's funny about this is he ended up like releasing all of his DMs on it later when Anthony, being a little rat as well, misspoke or said things that he hadn't said in there.
I also want to offer an additional apology to both him and Critically Sober for not listening to their advice on not hopping onto drama streams. I also want to apologize specifically to my YouTube community for making a bunch of community posts when this originally all occurred, starting on the 19th going up to the 20th. I originally made a bunch of YouTube community posts trying to describe the situation as it had happened, but admittedly I was very stressed while making those and none of them came off well. I originally made a bunch of YouTube community posts to start listening in general. I also want to offer an additional apology to both him and Critically Sober for not listening to their advice on not hopping onto drama streams.
How about that? Not hopping on to drama streams. He doesn't care that, that he did what he did. He only cares that he got caught, and drama streams, quote unquote, dragged him through the fucking mud. He should be on his knees apologizing to Dickers for lying to him, and even Morale at this point. This is the shit I'm talking about. He doesn't really actually feel like he's apologizing. He's just saying the words that he believes he needs to say to make it all right.
I also want to apologize specifically to my YouTube community for making a bunch of community posts when this originally all occurred, starting on the 19th going up to the 20th. I originally made a bunch of YouTube community posts trying
Wargaming Dad, why do you keep dragging me into these drama streams? Because they're so delicious. They're just so delicious. The year of the Flagger downfall. Yes, Patrick, yes. Yeah, he doesn't like Morale at all. He's definitely afraid of him.
Trying to describe the situation as it had happened, but admittedly I was very stressed while making those and none of them came off well whatsoever as a result. So I made a bunch of YouTube community posts all at once trying to describe the situation while stressed, which obviously was not a good idea whatsoever, and then ended up just deleting them all, which honestly came off as even worse because it came off like I was trying to hide things, which was not the intent whatsoever.
Now, I believe he was stressed, but he was stressed out that he got caught and he's trying to find a way to weasel his little way out of it, right? Why am I on this one? There we go. And to make it so that he can come back. You saw how he already said he was going to get offline for a while and then was still on X saying stuff, was still in his Discord saying stuff, was still online doing community posts and things like that. He was doing anything he can to try and find a way to get himself out of it, but you can't at this point, right? He's the toothpaste is out of the tube. There's no putting it back in. You're a false flagger and a plagiarist, and that's who you are now online. I mean, I don't like Morale either, but I kind of warming up to him after all this bullshit. No homo. Morale is just Morale, right? He says unhinged shit. You can disagree with it, or people can take offense to it. When British Runner was on, who was damaged, was getting kind of heated about it, we'll say, but once you realize it's just morale, then it really doesn't bother you. Sometimes he can be funny when he starts tearing into somebody. He literally ran from Morale when he was confronted with this shit. Yeah, with all of it. And Morale was the first one to call him out, right? No, it was Shamu. And then Morale started doing Morale things. I wonder why there's a spotlight on flagging. Doesn't feel organic. I assume this happened a lot, but discussing like this always feels directed. What do you mean? Like the people who are calling out the false flagging are directed, or that there's so many false flaggers. Because I mean, this is something that is like false flagging, from what I've seen on the internet and from what I believe too, is probably one of the worst sins you can do, because you can take down someone's channel with it. Oh no, I mean like in Dicker's stream. Yeah, that was funny when he ran from around Dicker's stream. And then came back. It's like, why did you come back? If you're gonna run.
That's also a big reason I'm doing this video, because I want full clarity out there on what happened with this situation and what I'm gonna do to make things right. A lot of people are hurt over this, and I cannot state that enough. A lot of people probably won't talk to me ever again after this, and rightfully so. I did a lot of things wrong here, and there's really no taking back what I did whatsoever. The only thing I can do is try to learn from this and grow.
This learn from this and grow shit is what tells me it's absolute bullshit, right? Absolute bullshit, because he's not learning and growing. Like, you don't learn and grow from this. This is your fucking personality. This is who you are. All right. People who do this false flagging stuff don't tend to change from that. Right. It's very coordinated. It's very malicious. It's done with purpose. So he's not learning a mistake. The only thing he might learn is to not get caught next time, right? Wargaming Dad, how dare you flip-flop on Noah? Don't you know when he lies and does something wrong, you need to lie and be wrong along with him? Yeah. Not much of a sweeper.
I always do in general. Since this situation has also caused the plagiarism drama from the start of this year to be relitigated, I also want to directly apologize to Shamu, Vincent Poverel, and Neryl for plagiarizing their videos. Specifically, I want to apologize for taking Shamu's video on Tectone and taking entire segments out of that and copy and pasting them into my video called Anti-Woke Religious Gamers Are Unintentionally Hilarious. Taking entire parts of Vincent Poverel's script on his video about Jester Bell's terrible takes on 2025 movies and putting that in my own video on that. And also taking an entire chunk out of Neryl's script on his video talking about aliens and True Lies on 4K and putting that in my video about AI and Disney. I think this entire situation, and also the plagiarism controversy from the start of this year, has really, really had me reflecting on what exactly I want to be doing here on YouTube.
So here's the thing, like, he's apologizing for those things, but when it came down to it, looking back at it now, because I was wrong to forgive him for these things. When you look back at it, it also has intention, right? He didn't just not citate people, and that's where I say that Ant is a rat too, because when the emails that EFAP dropped, he apologizes, but he doesn't mean it. Yeah. The email that the DMs that EFAP dropped on him, very specifically, Ant was saying, hey, only lightly mention the actual plagiarism stuff and then divert it to citations. So he was telling him to be dishonest. Don't take accountability. Just, make sure that it's not, make sure you push him in this direction because this doesn't sound as bad. And that's where I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't have, Ant is a fucking rat just as much as fucking Noah is in that. Because he wasn't giving him like, hey, take accountability, take criticism and do better. He was sweeping for him in that sense. This is how you get away with it.
YouTube. When I started doing the Hunting Grizzly Bears videos, that being the first one about anti-woke film criticism, I was doing them in a hope to try to get film criticism and just criticism in general on YouTube back to what it used to be. I was hoping to highlight bad faith criticism on YouTube and be able to point people in a better direction for criticism on YouTube in general of popular media, but that really didn't happen at all with that series, and I don't think I accomplished anything with it whatsoever that I was hoping to. Instead, what that series became was just simply a way for me to try to feel like I could get an own on someone else, instead of actually highlighting real criticism. It ultimately became
I have said for a while, I've said several times, that Noah has an ego. I know this because I have an ego. And I have to watch myself to not think my head gets too big. But this is where he Yeah, you're probably right. He felt that he was getting an ego. I've seen him on his streams where he'll be like, "This is my stream, guys. This is my stream," trying to control the whole thing instead of taking the criticism or letting someone else bring it back. Partially disagree because plagiarism or not citing the same thing. I believe he also confirmed copyright infringement, but not transforming the content. Plus, I didn't tell him to word it that way. It was already worded that way, and Ant wanted him to change the structure. So, from what I looked at it, it specifically said, "Hey, focus on this." And there, say something about this and focus on that. I'll re-look at it, but from my take right now is it's just as much. It's not as bad as Noah, right? But it still shows a dishonesty with Ant that I don't think I want to be around, especially after getting burned with Noah.
A way for me to boost my own ego instead of actually highlighting good faith criticism. I would say originally this series started off the way I intended, but over time it just gradually deteriorated into something toxic and not really productive whatsoever. And ultimately this series, and especially the way I chose to handle it, has done nothing to better media discourse on YouTube and has only hurt people that I care about and are close to me, and also has caused me and other people to go through a lot of drama. Neither of those things are things I want for myself or others that I care about. So it's really time for me to make a huge change.
This is bullshit. This is just bullshit. You brought your artist into this immediately. Like you knew what was going to happen about this. You didn't think everything else. What you were hoping is that since she was a nobody online, that no one would be able to find her. And guess what? We did. This is just what it was. You weren't worried about getting caught until you got caught.
Change to what I do here on YouTube. When I first started here on YouTube, I was doing autism-related videos talking about both good and bad representation of autism in popular media. And I was also just talking about popular media like films, games, TV shows, and plenty more in general. I think doing the Hunting Grizzly Bears videos really caused me to lose sight of why I started doing things on YouTube to begin with. So going forward, any video I make here on the platform is not going to be a Hunting Grizzly Bears video. I am only going to be highlighting autism representation in popular media and also just talking about things I love, like films, games, TV shows, and things like that. That's really what this should have been all along, and I deeply apologize to my—
This is the "I got into drama, but I don't like drama" comment without saying it, right? He liked getting in there and getting what he felt like his owns, but once he fucked up, he couldn't take the heat. So now, "I'm not doing drama anymore, guys. I'm not doing drama. I'm just going to, make my little autism videos."
My audience and everyone else that I have heard with this series. I do now have a job working in the film industry, something I have dreamed of for quite a long time now. It would have been very easy for me to simply leave YouTube, never take accountability, and leave my YouTube audience hanging and betray them, but I didn't want to do that since I actually do want to learn and grow from this experience and take accountability for exactly the things I did. I wanted to do the right thing, and I hope I can continue to do the right thing going forward here. My new job does have me pretty busy these days, but I want to keep trying to educate people on autism and what good representation of autism really looks like in popular media. So I am going to keep putting videos on this channel, and I really hope they're a lot better than the videos I was making over the last several months. Also, to show I am serious about—
Awesome, bud. Happy birthday, 24, you fucking child. Well, I hope you had a happy birthday.
wanting to change my content and how I approach it, I am considering a full rebrand of my channel.
You don't believe he actually got a job in the film industry? I can't say yes or no either way, right? Because I really don't know. It is incredibly convenient that once all this drama started, he suddenly got a job in the film industry, right? Very, very convenient.
To really show that I want to make better content and more meaningful content going forward here. I also do want to state that me rebranding is not me trying to hide from anything I've done in the past. Every single video that I've made that highlights a mistake that I've made is still going to stay up.
Yeah, gaming. I don't think anyone's going to believe this guy, right? it's too malicious, the things that he's done, for anyone to believe him anymore.
On my channel. I did this exact same thing when the plagiarism controversy happened at the start of this year. I could have very easily deleted the stream that it all occurred in, but I chose not to because I'd rather keep that up, have that stream there as a reminder of my mistake, and be able to learn and grow from my mistake and be better in the future. It is going to take a lot of time before people can truly heal from everything I have done, but I want to do whatever I can to try to help mend the mistakes that I caused. I would rather not look at this as the end of something, but rather a new beginning and a chance for me to change and grow and be able to be better for both myself and my audience. I have spoken to some of the people I hurt privately, and some have forgiven me, some still need time to forgive me, and some aren't gonna forgive me whatsoever, which I completely understand. I can only hope that I can take this as a learning experience and do better in the future. The next video
Yeah, okay, where's my apology, bud? I didn't hear from you. Maybe it's because I'm just a little shitter and a drama tuber. Is that what it is? Like, I feel like he only reached out to the people who are bigger. Only anyone who was big enough that they might, fix his career or might forgive him in that way. There's no way that that he did it to this clown didn't apologize to me in this video. No, he said he did it in the background. Yes, he made the generic apology online, but he didn't reach out. He said, I've reached out to people in the back end. Well, no, not everyone. You haven't. Did you reach out to Deus? I don't know. I'm guessing that you did reach out to Ant and the Birdman, probably because of how big they are. So I just don't take this that he's been doing it, that he's been reaching out to everyone.
do likely will be another autism related one, maybe comparing the Pit to the Good Doctor in terms of the autism representation in both shows, since that's something I've wanted to do for a while. I'm not sure when that video will come out. I will not rush myself because I want to make sure that video is as good as possible for both you and me. To those here still watching, I promise I will learn from my mistakes and continue to learn and grow and be a better creator and continue to add something positive to this platform and the exact kind of content that I want to make and be able to inspire other people with. Thank you for watching and listening to what I had to say here.
Dude. He apparently also lied to Birdman. Yeah, he apologized for it in this video.
Oh my word. So, Grandpa.
Jesus, what is going on? Boop. Chill, son. Fuck it, I'm going full mask off. His live server or serve no purpose. He is useless. He should, himself. I should have stopped there. I get it. Oh, to the autistic community, this guy is not an example of autistic people. guys, the only reason I did it is because I'm just autistic. I didn't know that's how I didn't know that's how fair use worked. I thought I could just strike a video for anything because I didn't like it. He should not be y'all's representation. Agreed. Probably shouldn't be talking about representation in it either anymore. I believe you, Joshua. I believe you. So, what the heck is this? Everything got all fucked up. Ah, damn it. Where did my... Bear with me. Boom. I just... That apology is just to try and make it so that he can somehow come back, right? It's very clear when he went on Twitch to try and do a little gaming stream that's what he was trying to do. Let me try something else on a different platform and see if no one notices. Now, from what I understand, that's where he started, but still, he's trying to hide criticism, especially with all of the comments or all the messages he was deleting. But he didn't strike any video. He got other people to do it for him, which makes me think he knew what he was doing is wrong. Yeah, absolutely. If he actually didn't believe that it was fair use, he would have struck it himself. It was his art as well, probably more so his art. Oh, here it is. There we go. There we go. So that's his apology. This is unless something else comes up. I've heard there's like additional DMs and all of that other stuff. Given the fact that the mainstream Twitch community doesn't give a frick about copyright, he would love to return to Twitch. That's true. Music is played all the time and everything else. I mean, they just made a button to mute the music a while back, right? So this needs to close here. And Deus's DMs, go strike this video, and Wargaming's dad DMs, I can't believe she doesn't understand fair use. Right? Oh man. And I even explained it to him. So you figured if he was honest and I was talking to him about it, he may have been like, oh, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have struck that video. Let me go fix it and take accountability. Doxoflex, the benefit. I can't believe he made Doxoflex give him the benefit of the doubt. Right? I don't know much about KinoFlex, so I don't know about the doxing stuff and things like that, but I have heard that before. Oh. So let's see where we're going on from here. Made me give Templar my time. Templar catching a stray W thanks to Noah. What was even funnier was that he privated all of his Twitter and then undid it so that he could make a in Moraus DM, stop being mean to me. Oh God, I forgot about that. That was during the plagiarism, wasn't it? Oh God. Yeah, pathetic in every term of the word, right? Let's see here. What is going on here? Oh, because I reset everything. Fucked it all up, chat. I fucked it all up. Game capture. That music is still loud. I'm gonna have to turn that down some more. Boop, boop, boop. Bear with me. What the fuck is properties? There it is. Now it's just dinging at random times. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, there we go. Boop. See if that actually comes up. I'm not sure if I shared it or not, but I did post a video with my own personal history with Noah. Not a ton of new information, but I thought I would share your story. I don't think I've seen it. Post it in Feed the Pig in my Discord, and I'll take a look at it. I may or may not watch it on stream. If it's interesting enough, I will, but I'll at least take a look at it. So this is going to be our background game while we listen to when we listen to the Antiwoke takes on Saros. So apparently Saros, Joshua was asking about it, is a divorce simulator. Oh, post it again. Yeah, I must have missed it then. A divorce simulator about an Indian cuck whose wife leaves him to be a lesbian. That's their take of the game. So I don't have a PlayStation. So I can't buy the game and do an actual like finding the woke video on it. So what I did is I went and spoiled the whole thing for myself. I went and watched an analysis video going over the story and everything that's around it. I'm just gonna probably delete this chat for now, because I think that's what it is. It's this chat box right here. I wonder if I remove this and add it later. Boom. I won't be able to see you on screen, but I'll still have you over here. I can still see you. It's been a week, I forgot. Anthony is one of those YouTubers who hides his disingenuousness under layers of what appears to be thoughtful discourse and video essay padding. I haven't watched enough of his videos to say either way on it. And while I watched the EFAP that was like where they talked about how they had gone over one of his videos, and it does from that point of view seem that way. I need to watch the whole video for myself. I will always wish ill will to Noah for making me look like a jackass again. I can say I got burned. I'm not gonna be making that mistake again. Oh, I guess it didn't fix it. Oh well. Oh well. We're just gonna have to deal with it for this stream, because I probably have to restart OBS to get it to work. So I have one video on Anthony. It's one of my most popular videos on your channel. Okay, I'll have to check that out too then, because you make pretty good videos, Egad. So with Saros, I had to see what this was about. Like, is this story true? Is this what's going on? What is happening here in this game, right? So I watched the analysis video, and I see what they're saying, right? So I'll say this. I see what they're saying, and it makes them dumber for thinking that way. The game tricked them, and they're mad about it, I feel like. Though most of these people will probably never play this game. So we're going to watch... Boop. Nope, not that one. Not secular. Boop. It's not a threat, it's a promise. So we're going to listen to the Desembro. Egad pointed this guy out to me a while back, and I have not really watched any of his content, really, but I saw this one pop up on my screen with the exposing the fall of PlayStation's modern audience stories, Saros' controversy. Yes, we're going to go through it because this guy tries to sound like he's a intelligent person when talking about it, but really, if you actually look at I don't remember the name of the company that made Saros and Returnal. If you look at Returnal's story and you look at Saros' story, you can see the stories that they like to tell, and we'll get into it more as we're going through here.
Hey everybody, I wanted to rant today about the sad, rampantly declining state of PlayStation's first-party exclusive stories. This is one that hurts, coming from the perspective of someone who not that long ago got excited at the sight of a new announcement of a first-party exclusive from PlayStation. It usually meant that we were about to get something with quality. Didn't have to be perfect, but at least it was going to be good. Some quality gameplay, some worthwhile stories, usually presented very professionally with a focus on great art direction and movie-like narrative direction, so on and so forth. I mean, that's why these exclusives weren't cheap to make to begin with, right? But as budgets have kept going up, and as the PlayStation brand and ecosystem carries on getting more and more expensive for the user, the stories have gotten worse. And that just makes no sense whatsoever.
I hear this all the time, but what stories have really gotten worse? And the games that they tend to talk about the stories getting worse are like commercial successes. The go broke thing doesn't tend to pan out when you look at Spider-Man, that they say is woke and gay, and it's the highest selling game on PlayStation, right?
Except for the pattern that they seem to be following, which is both good and bad. It's good because if we can identify what's wrong, maybe...
Yes, they are partially complaining about the Indian guy, but I'll have to see if he actually does it.
We can fix it, but it's, obviously also bad because what if we can fix it? What if they just don't want to? The latest in a list of this recurring issue is the brand new Saros, a game that is actually being regarded as having fun gameplay, but again, the same old tiresome cliche in this generation's batch of PlayStation exclusives, which is boring, predictable, superficially sentimental, and ideologically captured storytelling.
So I heard this, and this is about where I stopped the video and I was like, I really have to see what they're talking about, right? I have to go and see what they mean by this in this this thing, because it's just like it's the same story. And when you look at it, no, I haven't seen this story done before. I mean, I've seen this story done before. It is a trope, but this isn't something that's usually done in gaming, right? It's not the normal game that comes up with. What is the big deal with this game? I'm so out of the loop with modern gaming. We're going over it. We're going over it. The problem is they all have it wrong. Hold on, I gotta do something here. Y'all can see my mouse, but I can't. So I gotta like restart it and see what the fuck is going on here. Anyway, we'll go back to reading while I'm doing
I
that.
don't know, it's like they hired a bunch of theater kids or whatever, and instead of just,
I hate to tell you, just about all writers are theater kids.
you know, making games because you're going to be appealing to a fan base and making something satisfying. It's all about challenging perspectives or some shit. I'm tired. One or two, okay, that's fine. It's just diversity in story. But the same thing over and over and over? That ain't normal. And that's what's at the core.
I want to see him prove that, because he's now showing Ghosts of Yotai how this story is the same as Saros.
More of the problem all across most PlayStation games right now. The most expensive and important ones, the ones that are meant to be the face of the brand of this new generation, the PS.
Yeah, that does sound like that seems to be the majority of them, EGAD, is that their only understanding of woke is that you can't goon to it. So game after game comes out that they say is woke, but it sells well, but they're like, no, it didn't. Like they keep talking about what's the name of the game? The one with the chick and the robot dinosaurs. I've never played it, so Horizon. That game has sold tons. That franchise has sold tons. Like I used to think, like, why do they keep making this game? What is going on here? All right, we're not fucking around with this game. This is pissing me off. Y'all can see this. I can't see my mouse. I don't know what's going on here. All right. Time to go to Old Faithful. I can attest to that as a writer myself. That or gamers who love narrative-driven games. Yeah, and that's exactly what Saros is trying to be. It's trying to be two different games. It's going towards two different audiences. So I looked it up. Two different audiences. It's going for the it's going for the roguelite group, though it's easier than the first game was. And it's also going for the people who like to dig into obscure stories and find out what's the truth and theorize about games and things like that.
PS5, the ones that are meant to ensure loyalty and interest in the upcoming console, because of course that's where their sequels are going to be at. And yet they can't stop screwing this up. It's that issue and the true curse of The Last of Us, which people often mistake as the close-up, over-the-shoulder, realistic or slow.
Synthetic Man had a review of Saros recently, basically said it was mid. He had fun with it in places, but has also had a lot of problems with it. Saros has diversity thing going too, but it's not front and center like it used to be. Yes, there can be. I mean, if you want to say that like the lesbian couple is diversity, but it's nowhere really in your face in there. And the reasoning behind it that the Antiwokers are using for it is not what's happening, and it's not the main story of the game when it comes to it. Like you'll see
Grounded gameplay thing, but that in reality is actually something else that we'll be getting into in a second. So let's just not waste any more time and jump right into it. If you find yourself enjoying the video along the way, like and subscribe for more videos like this and on more subjects. And sorry for the raspy voice, it's gonna be a whole issue this entire video, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to edit out as much of it as I can, but
the problem I have with a lot of the diversity stuff is it's basically come down to it's basically come down to black person woke, woman woke, Indian woke. There's really no actual, and I hate saying that because that's been used before as a defense when it wasn't. But I mean, it really, like, what else do you take it for? If there's a lesbian in the game, it's going to get called woke. Hold on, let me look at something here. Did Vincent say some of your messages aren't coming through, Vincent? They're coming through on there, but they're not coming through on here. Let me try this real quick. Pop out. Horizon Zero Dawn was really fun. I haven't played the second one. I mean, if you want to go by the success that most anti-wokers go for, it's going to be like units sold. And as of 2026, the units sold on the entire franchise of Horizon Dawn is like 37 million, I want to say, or something like that. 37 million copies that have sold. Almost 40 million copies. You can't call that game a failure. It's made money, and it's why they want to keep, banging that franchise into the ground.
Yeah. Consequence of still using your own voice on YouTube even when you're sick. Usually in my videos, I don't like to jump right into culture war-like commentary, because some people will just totally dismiss me and my entire...
He just jumped into culture war commentary, and we're not even like 3 minutes into the video. His whole first section was culture war commentary.
Channel over it, before I can even get to the point. Can't really blame them in a way, but I do wish people would listen, because I don't tend to come at it from a side due to bias. I just come at it from what constitutes problems for game companies and what actually would make games better, but regardless, let's get real for a second. Let's put down our biases, let's put down our differences, all these awful, boring current dayisms that divide us, and let's just think about this critically. Where is the appeal in once again getting a game where the main premise of the story is to cuck the protagonist? Pardon my French. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of French in this video too, fellas. It comes as a result of me being kinda sick recently. It sort of depletes my patience for getting a dictionary and sugarcoating definitions. By that, what I mean is a mix of elements that go against the player experience. I'll develop that along during this video, but it's such a common thing. You see it even beyond Sony, and you see it so often. During the recording of this video, I was browsing to give myself a bit of a break between takes, and I even saw this post. Some morons at PC Gamer talking about how maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't have a character like James Bond in...
Okay, so he's gonna pull up, I don't know who this fucking dude is. He got a few thousand, or, he got 25k likes. Oh, no, excuse me. That was Legendary Drops, Antiwoke Light, who got it. Maybe this sounds harsh, but why is everyone so pathetic now? But also, part of his criticism, arrogance, is that he is suave and unflappable. Well, great. Good for him. I am not suave, and I flap at the slightest inconvenience. I simply don't fit into him. Should probably reword that, where I, as Bond, fumble a counter, miss a shot, or try to duck into cover, only to fling myself headfirst into a desk lamp. I break the entire spell of the character. So I don't understand this. Doing pretty good. Get some stuff done regarding my vet tech internship. Nice, good. Mostly farm animals. Cool. You got to move to my area so you can be my vet for my vet tech for my pigs. So with this, this is just the person saying that they feel out of touch with it. Narcissism, unabated and constantly enabled at every turn. I am not this person, so they should be replaced. Did he say they should be replaced? But also, as part of his charismatic appearance, they said they just don't fit into the box with him. I am not this person, so they should be replaced. Years of social poisoning, obfuscating normalcy, dismantling heroes, shaming historical figures, and lowering the bar to make losers mean winners. Okay, you inferred a lot compared to what that little paragraph says. I would like to read the autographs. Now, Bond just shouldn't be in video games. Can say that that argument is what they're going for, but that's more of a trying to think of the word. Legendary Drops is just another centrist libertarian who keeps pushing the balance, which basically means personal taste. Yeah, agreed. He wants to skirt around the culture war, but he doesn't want to actually be in the culture war. So he just says culture war things very lightly to do with it. He's also a hypocrite who says he won't take money so he can give honest criticism, and then takes money from the Chinese so that he can make a video that looks like one of his review videos, but is actually an ad. I mean, you can argue with this when them saying James Bond just shouldn't be in video games. And I get what the person is saying is they feel out of sorts for it. And I disagree with them. James Bond can be in video games, but they are still inferring a lot from all of this, from this little paragraph.
In video games, because a character like Bond is too charismatic, too suave, too unflappable, and they as players are characters. Legendary Drops try the swamp, but this crap is so prevalent that you even got him clocking it, saying narcissism is so poor stuff, like you can tell that he doesn't want to get into the swamp. But this crap is so prevalent that you even got him clocking it, saying
he
narcissism.
Does this all the time. Like, this is just completely not realizing what Legendary Drops does. He skirts around the edge, so he feels like he's anti-woke light. He's anti-woke light to where he's not in the culture war stuff, guys. You can listen to me. I'm an honest opinion while I lightly talk about culture war stuff and having really no good idea. He just says things with no real analysis on what's going on.
Unabated.
He's Endymion, but less culture war.
And constantly enabled at every turn. I am not this person, so they should be replaced. Years of social positioning, obfuscating normalcy, dismantling heroes, shaming historical figures, and lowering the bar to make loser mean winner. And I took that and added more to it, which serves.
I'd like to see the examples he has for this. Like, what heroes is he specifically talking about being dismantled? I'm sure it's going to be Kratos and God of War, because Kratos isn't the angry God of War anymore that they went for a while. I hate to tell them, a lot of these guys, but being a warrior and becoming a dad kind of changes perspective on that quite a bit.
As a perfect
unless you're an alcoholic.
Synopsis for what this video is about. Saying that if we really want to go down that route where it absolutely matters what type of heroes our video game characters are, then that's precisely the kind of heroes we should have, inspiring us to embody winning traits. Even if we don't manage to do so flawlessly, even if we falter, even if we just don't have—
God, I hate when these guys show their own fucking tweets. This is so fucking gay. When are we seeing Noah's ukulele apology? If you want to, you can go back. It was the first thing we watched on stream, Jasmine. It's there. It's there. He apologized to you.
have those chops or those looks, it doesn't matter. At least what you're striving for is commendable. That's the other side of the shit sandwich that we're being served in entertainment. Not only are our characters and story concepts weak and unappealing, they are forgettable and uninspiring down to a human level. Let's get back to it. Like, what's the value exactly for you as a player to put down $70 on a game that, instead of empowering you as a protagonist and serving something satisfying, fun, exciting, uplifting, motivating, etc., just humiliates you or deliberately challenges what you should consider to be a satisfying story or a worthwhile character?
And this is where they all fell for it. This game is not a game about heroes. Just like Returnal wasn't a game about heroes. I've watched the analysis of both games because I'll probably never play them. And this game was never meant to be about a hero. If you go back to Returnal and go through the story and you go through all of the obscure points and you get a lot of the backstory of what's going on with her, the main character, it's pretty clear that she's an awful person, right? It's almost insinuated. There's theories out there that she killed not only her mother, but her daughter so that she could try and be an astronaut. And it seems like even that failed. Should have said it beforehand. There's going to be spoilers for both games. So if you really don't want to hear the spoilers, this is probably the part where you need to dip out. So yes, that's the game they made with Returnal. It's a very dark tale of a woman who's going, yes, it's very Silent Hill coded. These same people, if Silent Hill came out today, would be complaining about Silent Hill because he's not a hero, right? This is a game about different types of trauma and different terrible situations. In this one, the character is an alcoholic. He is very possessive. He is a bad person. Let's see if he goes into it. Like, I would like to see if he actually looked up anything on the story or even played the game.
Because that's the issue at the source of Saros, and there's a whole controversy online about it right now, with Shills even coming out and lying about the contents of the game, which is something that is actually totally new to me. I've never seen this before. Over the years in gaming, we've had really bad endings in games that we otherwise enjoyed, like for example the controversial endings of the Mass Effect trilogy. But never in my life did I see BioWare Shills coming out and just lying about the endings. Like, I never saw Shills coming out like, hey, that thing that people are saying about the pointless 3-color ending that doesn't take anything that we did into account? Yeah, no, that's totally fake, guys. These are fake AI videos full of lies from grifters.
No, the thing that was fake was the AI picture that kicked this all off.
And yet that's exactly what's happening right now with Saros. There's people sharing what happens during the plot, and then Shills are just saying that it's not true, it's not real, even though there's video of it. As for what happens, I'd give you guys a spoiler warning with a timestamp to skip, but this video is going to be circling around the concept of the story, so it's kind of unavoidable. I can still put a timestamp on...
That's what I like to hear. Concept and analysis. We're really going to break this story down, right? Or basing everything off what is said on social media. Yeah.
Screen where the big part of it is gone. So if you guys want to skip over there, go ahead. But in general, what I can say is that I will not be spoiling any especially saucy details. I'm not going to touch on the game's cosmic horror elements or anything like that, but
So, he's not going to touch on any of the cosmic horror elements in the game. The cosmic horror elements are very much part of the context of this entire story. If you don't really know cosmic horror, it is pretty deep-seated in fear of the unknown, but also in issues of mental health. Those stories don't generally have heroes. Like H.P. Lovecraft didn't write about heroes. He wrote about, the impending doom and how small we are in the grand scheme of things. The eldritch horror in this one, which is, it's really not horror, it's more despair, is very important to this story.
I will be touching on things that are important to character relationships. So here we go. So basically the gist of your character and his motivation is that you chase your ex through the goddamn galaxy, right? Because she ran away from you. And you end up in a terrible hellscape of a planet where she appears to have fled to. And this part of the game is actually good, which is why it's so...
Message.
Hey, thank you for the tip, Egad. I appreciate it. Oh, you didn't put a message in. Yeah, if you want to, you can always go to my coffee. It's a good way to tip me. Helps me buy games. Did it not give the amount? How weird. How weird. How strange. Let's go to coffee. So already he's being dishonest about the story, right? You don't know this from the beginning, but there is very specific reasons why your wife left you. I have one quick 1.5 hour video on legendary drops linked in your General chat. Okay, I appreciate it. I did a stream on him that I cut into a video, so if y'all want to go watch that, it's about him taking money when he said he wasn't going to, Chinese money specifically, and basically passing off a video review as a 1 hour, 1 minute and 30 seconds. Gotcha. Why did it not show? We may have to redo that link in there. But anyway, let's keep going while we're doing it.
So sad that none of it is capitalized on, because Sony studios keep
But thank you for
crippling
the
themselves
$5.
with these same mistakes, but we'll get to that later. So you're in this totally feral and dangerous planet with a godlike villain, and then you gotta brave all these dangers and challenges to get your woman back, but as you're doing this, all you're constantly getting is demoralized, and by the end of it, it's just revealed that your ex actually fell
not
in love
1
with
hour,
another
just a
random
minute
woman
and
who
30
actually
seconds.
met.
You could watch it real quick. Sorry, dyslexic. I can't read to save my life. It's why I listen to audiobooks. Yeah, let's pull it up. Let me see here. Let me make sure. Boop. Diluting the message.
When this happened in the game, it was this really powerful and remarkable moment for me because it was two black characters
hold
talking
on, is
one-on-one, and neither of
Yeah.
them is cast as a criminal. They're not a sidekick, they're not a savage, they're not a stereotype, they're not a gang member. And they're the only two people on screen in this moment talking about something much greater than them. And it was just like really, really nice.
I've brought it up in past videos, but like Final Fantasy 16 has a kissing scene with two guys. It was great. I mean, like not like I was like, oh, this is, but like it was a great scene because it was a great story and it was a great moment in that story and it made sense with the rest of the game.
And it was just like really nice.
It was a great scene because it was a great story
doing,
and it was a great moment in that story and it made sense with the rest of the game.
Wouldn't it be amazing if this wasn't an accident, but it was actually the intention of the game designers? What if they actually said, you know what, we're gonna set out to create a moment of joy in people who look like this, people who feel represented by this.
Final Fantasy 16 has a kissing scene with two guys. It was great. I mean, not like I was like, oh, this is, but like it was a great scene because it was a great story and it was a great moment in that story.
What's funny is Endymion said this very same thing about that scene, trying to use the whole, it's not we're not, homophobic. We like this kissing scene.
And it made sense with the rest of the game.
We're gonna set out to create a moment of joy. And
it was a great moment,
If you're too focused on being a moderate, if you try to approach the middle to appeal to moderates, you become indistinguishable from them, and your message becomes diluted.
Okay. I see what you're saying there. And it's like, I agree with you now to a point. Like I used to be kind of this way, that he's talking about it with, like, well, this scene was good, but this scene was not. Now I'm to the point now that like my side of it, my take of it is I don't care. I don't care if gay people are in the game and things like that. I care if it's, if the game is not fun and like to me, God, what's it called? Dragon Age Veilguard is like the worst example of it. But since Dragon Age Veilguard, really not much has come out that I care enough about to say that it's woke or that it's bad, right? My view has always been, make your own games and, if people like it, they'll come. Most of these games that we're talking about now, especially Saros, are that, right? You look back at Returnal, they made the story they want to make, and now they're doing a very similar typed game with a different story and a different message.
And so much more to her than you ever did. A woman who was her peace, and that's basically it. There's different endings, but this is the best one that you can get. And your entire way there, it's just, again, demoralizing factors and a humiliation ritual.
As far as I know, there's only 2.
All while the game pretends like it's like deep emotional writing or something. And again, the shills are out in full force making posts calling the hate for Saros performative and fake because it's based on lies, and the story actually isn't like that at all, even though again we got videos showing that it is. It ends up making this developer's previous game called
Is he going to show it?
Eternal, which by the way is also significantly cheaper by now and offers the same looping roguelike bullet hell experience, have the overall better narrative and just overall experience of playing the game, because while playing as Selene in that weird mysterious alien planet, my exploration of that reality-bending place with corpses of ancient beings and corpses of our own character from previous failed loops that we initially can't even remember, you know, we can kind of just absorb all of this without the additional weird baggage that looks like it's put there just to
A woman in space, what is that doing there?
detract from the setting and make us roll our eyes. It's the type of recurring thing that's becoming borderline immersion breaking. Like, I want to enjoy this game's premise, I want to like the protagonist, I want to get invested in his arc despite it being of a darker and more complex background, you know, like some people online were ragging on Arjun for being Indian or whatever. Like, I don't give a fuck about that, it's a new IP in a sci-fi setting. If the character is good, that's what matters. One of my favorite Assassin's Creed protagonists and performances is Bayek, for example. I glaze Mirror's Edge on this channel on a weekly basis. The protagonist there is an Asian woman, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. If you look like a Redditor or a
The disclaimer on the bottom of the screen, I missed it. Trying to fix...
playing the game, because while playing as Selene in that weird mysterious alien planet, my exploration of that reality-bending place with corpses of ancient beings and corpses of our own character from previous failed loops that we initially can't even remember.
Selene's story in the game, as you discover more, does go into a lot of personal trauma, including quite a lot of self-hatred as she realizes things she's done. But again, this didn't get in the way it feels like in Saros. So it's all about our feelings. Thank you, EGAD. Same devs, but I don't know, maybe at this time it feels so frequent and it helped make it more original, or perhaps the themes just worked better. I think my personal take, at least with what Bimbo is saying, is that it feels different because it's now a man that's going through this trauma, right? I'll go ahead and spoil it now so y'all can all know what I know before going on. The story is he is going to find his wife. She left him because he was, you find out later as it's going through, she left him because he was a pathetic drunk who wouldn't do anything with his life. That's like the beginning stuff that you find out about. She wants to go on this trip to the planet Saros, and decides to leave him after the last time he gets drunk, and things like that. He has emotional trauma because his father beat the shit out of him and did a lot of the same things that he ends up doing to other people, though it's never mentioned that he ever beat his wife or anything like that. You also see in there that she wrote a letter to the company, even though she had been accepted, that she was about to decline it to stay with him, but she ended up leaving. When she left, she did fall in love with a woman there. And then they go to the planet and become gods, and they live for generations, like centuries, within the time loop of what's going on. And a lot of stuff, they become basically their own eldritch beings by the end of it. There's a war, there's all of this stuff that happens. Well, the whole story behind the main character is he's going there thinking he's going to save her. He's going to hear her. And a lot of the dialogue and things like that, in a lot of that dialogue, he mentions, like saving her. But then the way you you hear him talk about it, it starts to sound really possessive. It starts to sound really narcissistic. It starts to sound a lot of different ways. When you beat the game the first time, you become the king in yellow of all things. I was actually, my brother-in-law was telling me about this story, the story. He hadn't gotten all the way to the end, but they talk about a place called the Yellow Sea. The Yellow Sea is making a bunch of people go mad and different things like that. It's some being that is doing all of this. And I showed him the King in Yellow. I said, you need to look up the King in Yellow because this sounds very familiar. And he says it does follow similar tropes to the King in Yellow, though different in this way. So anyway, you beat the game the first time, you become the guy who's sitting on the throne of this planet, and you're basically suffering, and then you wake up to do it again. And eventually you get to the end that they're talking about, where you've realized over this time that you really are a piece of shit. And then on top of it, there's hints that either you might have cheated on your wife might have cheated on you, you probably killed your best friend, and all these other horrible things that you do. And you realize that, yes, you aren't going there for her for any purpose. You holding on to her is actually what's hurting you in the long run, and then you throw that away. There's a lot of ideas on if this is in his head or not, but that was the same thing with Returnal, whether it was real or not. But that's the story. It's not just that he got cucked. What I think a lot of people got tricked by is he very much has a ton of dialogue where he's talking about being the hero. They gaslight you into thinking you're the hero. You're going to save this person. And in truth, you're not the hero. Just like in Returnal, you're a shitty person. This is kind of a theme in cosmic horror and eldritch horror to begin with, that you are generally not the good guy, and there are things far worse and far more powerful going on that you can't deal with. You can only deal with those things that you can deal with as a human being, right? I do like a story of a bad and morally gray person throughout the game, because becoming good when you've done right. Yeah, it really is. It's a story of him coming to the realization of who he was and making legitimate change for it.
Remember, we can kind of just absorb all of this without the additional weird baggage that looks like it's put there just to detract from the setting and make us roll our eyes. It's the type of recurring thing that's becoming borderline immersion breaking. Like, I want to enjoy this game's premise, I want to like the protagonist, I want to get invested in his arc despite...
And that's the point. You're not supposed to like the protagonist. You're supposed to like him at first because you are the hero, and then that illusion gets broken. This isn't like, obviously it's been done before in a similar way with Returnal, but this isn't something I've seen a lot in other games. At least it's a story in like movies and things like that, especially horror movies. I feel like Saros came out at a slow news day and they had to make it seem like it was worse than it was. It's very much what it is. It's a lot of the same things they did with Yotai's ending, where they just made up shit about it and then said that that's what actually happened when it's not. And now they're trying to say everyone else is lying when, well, you've taken out the fact that eldritch horror is a big part of this. You've taken out the fact that this is the kind of stories that this dev team makes. You've taken it, you've basically shown that you were gaslit by this and now you're mad. So the character got cucked. So I got cucked. Well, I'm actually the cuck because I thought he was supposed to be the hero.
Despite it being of a darker and more complex background, like some people online were ragging on Arjun for being Indian or whatever. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. It's a new IP in a sci-fi setting. If the character is good, that's what matters. One of my favorite Assassin's Creed protagonists and performances is Bayek, for example. I glaze Mirror's Edge on this channel on a weekly basis. The protagonist there is an Asian woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. If you look like a Redditor or a soy boy or whatever that sometimes these developers go for, like recently I've been playing a feeling
It's funny. At the beginning of this, he said he was going to do an unbiased opinion, but all he has said so far, besides not understanding the story, is that is like culture war, anti-woke words.
On, and the main character is a woman who looks like Obama. So, there you go. Like, sure, you give me something like that, you're giving me something to complain about, but what's present here
Ugly woman equals woke equals bad game.
is not that. The character design in Saros looks awesome, the art direction is great, none of that stands in the way of me enjoying the character, except for the fact that it's like the writers don't want me to. So I want to like the dude, I want to get invested, but the developers, in a classic recent Sony fashion, don't want me to.
So, so this company, don't forget black, true. Forgot about the blacks. This character, or this guy, got cucked by this company, by this dev team. They cucked him. He is actually the cuck, not the main character. What, Argos, I think is his name. And it's so obvious. Like, I just wanted a hero shooter. Well, this company's never made hero shooters. Their first game wasn't a hero shooter, so why would their next game be a hero shooter, right? If they have a specific genre that they get into, they and things that they talk about, they really do love like the eldritch horror or cosmic horror motif, which is generally not full of heroes.
And so they crippled their...
People have overused that sound effect to the point that it makes me cringe every time I hear it. The blah sound. I wish I could turn it off, but it won't turn off. I've tried over and over and over again. The only way it's going to happen is if I restart. I'm probably going to have to restart OBS. So it'll be the end of the stream, we'll say.
Their own experiences time and time again. The bigger problem here, though, can't even be easily explained through just these superficial details of saying what happens in the end. Because the opposition could just say, oh, what's the problem? It's just a story concept. Not all stories have to be empowering. And fair enough, that's actually true. Some stories are just sad or fit to challenge the players in other ways. One could say, for example, that it's not very empowering or inspiring for us as the players that in The Walking Dead Season 1 we get bitten and then our daughter figure has to do the extremely hard thing of taking us out before we turn. Like, that shit is just sad and depressing. Thing is though that there's a point to that, and in Saros there isn't one. Some Saros...
Didn't I just explain a point? Like, clearly there was a point to it. Him overcoming his failures and realizing he needs to make a change. Isn't that what we were just talking about? In fact, there's a point in the game when he says something that is like, it's very small, but it's foundational to that ending of the game, and it's like it's the phrase "tomorrow is another day." So even though he may have killed his best friend, he may be going to jail, and this is all just a dream in his head. He is a horrible person. Now that he's come to this realization, the next day is different. Instead of sticking with this terrible character that he is, tomorrow can be better. That sounds pretty uplifting to me, even if it doesn't specifically say it.
Most defenders could also say that
I was talking about the sound he played when it made the look like Obama joke. Oh, yeah.
that people complaining about this are being unreasonable because since the protagonist is slowly revealed as being kind of a bad guy who has made many...
I want to bring up a question. Why do these assholes hate Deborah Wilson so fucking damn much? Because she doesn't look like the woman they think that she should look like, is what it comes down to. I actually looked at it the other day, and Deborah Wilson is like, her gaming career is incredible. I'll bring up some of the stuff here. Filmology. She's been in a ton of films, television. She's been in a ton of TV stuff, video games. Now, if you look at her video game history, it started out with like small titles, Ice Age 2 Meltdown. No one really gives a fuck. But then she's in X-Men, the official game. Yeah, movie game, never really good. Oh, she's a Marine in Halo 3. Got it. A Speed Racer video game. Gears of War Solid 4. The Guns of the Patriot. Oh, okay. Halo 3 ODS. Fracture was okay. Dead to Rights, Retribution. I don't know. I don't think that one was okay. I don't remember it. She was in Fallout New Vegas. She was in Infamous 2. She was in Elder Scrolls Online, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Mirror's Edge, Catalyst. She's in Gears of War 4, Far Cry Primal. She's in a ton of games. They didn't start noticing her. She's in League of Legends, Halo Infinite. They didn't start noticing her until, where is it? Star Wars Jedi. Where was it? The first one. That's not Jedi. It's not Jedi Survivor. It's the other one, right? Maybe Jedi Fallen Order. That's when they first noticed her, and they still haven't taken notice of all of the other games that she's in. So they're just mad. It's easy for them to target her because of the way she looks. And it makes it sound Wolf. I think it was Wolfenstein: The New Colosseum. Oh, was it Wolfenstein: The New Colosseum? That's a particularly bad game, so yeah, I could believe that. I remember them first talking about her in the Jedi game, Jedi Knight. She's got a long career in gaming. No wonder she's in like every game out there. Even 2025, she's in Like a Dragon, Civilization, Doom. She's Harriet Tubman in Civilization. Date everything. Doom: The Dark Ages, The Outer Worlds 2, Destiny, Octopath. I mean, she's in everything. And it's easy pickings. Easy pickings.
Any mistakes, including some pretty goddamn big ones that I will not spoil, that he doesn't deserve his wife's love, or that it wouldn't make sense for his wife to return to him. And if that's the only way you explain it without any further context, it makes sense. The problem is that the framing is awful on purpose. Our character could have been revealed to be bad while also being built up for a redemption arc. Other games have done this before.
It does build him up for like a redemption arc, but the redemption arc is at the very end with his realization. Like, I don't think you played this game or even looked at anything about it. So she was in another Kimoji game, Death Stranding 2. So yeah, she's been in everything. Like it does, but the thing with Saros is it's not a game that you just figure out all the lore. You have to go searching for it. Think of like, it's not as obscure from what it sounds like as like Dark Souls, but you find out things through codexes, through recordings, and some of the stuff that happens within the story. It does show that he is clearly a bad person, pretty clearly underneath there, and why she left. He just didn't get it, I guess.
Not that hard, fellas. Or better yet, an arc that challenges that concept and ends up revealing that those bad actions were actually miscontextualized, for example. This one's a little bit harder, but I mean, they're making money, not me. They're the ones making a lot of goddamn money to develop a game, yeah? They're the ones with the multi-million-dollar budgets, you know? It's just off the top of my head here. Like, if I was the one getting paid to work on these multi-million-dollar projects as a writer, I wouldn't be making telenovela garbage. Also, wouldn't this also be kind of a moot point too? Because when you set up to write your story for a new video game, you
always gotta show The Last of Us 2.
Obviously pick and choose what are the themes that you're going to be using. And so when, once again, PlayStation gives us another story that puts the protagonist in a weak, crippled, lame, humiliated, pathetic...
So, PlayStation didn't make this story, right? I'm going to look it up because I should be saying who it is. Oh. House Marquee. House Marquee is the guy who did it. I am seeing Troy Baker being in a shit ton of games than Deborah. Where's his fatigue? Oh wait, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they both are. I mean, it's this is an easy target, so we're going to go after this. It's not any actual. They never talk about anything that she actually does that's wrong with games, right? They just it's either ugly black character or fatigue because she's in so many games.
Pathetic position that offers no emotion.
Also, yeah. So House Marquee is who made this game. They're not a huge company, as far as I understand. Like, we're talking even on their page with Saros, we're talking about, like, they don't say how many people work for them. They just say that it's so small. They're saying the number of people who do it. This guy is the programmer. This guy is the producer. This guy is the artist. This guy does the writing. Maybe they have more people, but this is not a big team. Not a big team. There it is, 110 people that they have. This isn't a huge company. Yeah, they can write the story that they want to fucking write, and they did it.
Emotional growth or redemption path, or point to it at all, then you can't just excuse it by saying, oh, but he's bad, so it makes sense. Because hey, here's a suggestion totally for free.
That's what they did in Returnal. Oh, she's bad. That's why she's going through this literal hell that is described, like, her name is Greek in Greek mythology. The places she goes and the bosses she fights are Greek mythology. Their DLC is an allegory for pushing the rock up the hill. I forget which guy did that. Punished to push the rock up the hill. Like, she was never proven to be a good person by the end of that. She was an awful person, and some theorize could have been a murderer.
Stop writing the same shit.
Either way, she was willing to drop people to try and get her job with the space company, even though they had written her like denial letters. She hated the people around her, and she got that trauma from her mother, who also was a hateful person for her because she wanted to be an astronaut. It's fucking like they never do a redemption arc for her in this story, so why would they do the same thing for this one? Because he's a guy.
Stop treating your male protagonists like they are garbage.
And then he said it.
To be discarded. Either through the narrative, like the way that The Last of Us 2 does with Joel and Spider-Man 2 does with Peter, and to an extent what God of War Valhalla's DLC does with Kratos, or just through making them disappear, the way that Ghost of Yote did with Jin Sakai. There are many...
It was a different story. They didn't make him disappear. They felt his story was over, and they did a new story.
Stories out there that test the protagonist in a moral way, but usually they have openings for other things to take place. Like, for example, redemption. It's not very empowering either that by the end...
The story isn't a redemption story. It's an awakening, if anything else. Yeah, Jin's story was over. I haven't played through the whole thing, but that's what I keep hearing over and over and over again, is Jin's story was over. So why make a second game about him when you can use the ghost's name with a new character? Did they write a good story in Yotai? Probably not, by the sound of it. I'll never get to find out now that it's been pulled from coming to PC. But not every story has to be this redemption arc for a man. Some stories can just be dark and despair. That's a story. It's a story trope.
The Red Dead Redemption 1, we are surrounded by the army in a total overkill kind of way that we can't possibly fight against. But holy shit did it work, because despite John Marston having always been a bad man who even acknowledged himself that he was a bad man, that he's done bad things and made very big mistakes, And he always bangs on that point, like he never really lets go of it. It doesn't matter how many times characters like Bonnie McFarlane tell him that no, he's actually a good man. He ain't taking it, right? Because he knows himself, he knows his past life, he hasn't forgiven himself. But despite that, he was actually trying to be good, to be better, to start new and be a family man in, well, the best way that he knew how. But then that is taken away from us by the end, and it's both heartbreaking, but it also makes sense because of his past actions. And that's really what makes it work the most, because it makes sense in the...
So, okay. Say they took the same story, like, because basically it comes down to like a revenge arc, right? It's not the start of it, killing the wife, things like that. It's a revenge arc. What if this just happened to be a random robbing? That's a pretty common trope in Western cowboy, Wild West movies, is that they're just innocent people living off the land, and the guy used to be a bounty hunter or is really good with a gun, or even isn't really good with a gun, and they kill his family and he happens to survive, and then he goes on a revenge arc. Does it not make sense now because he wasn't this badass from back in the day? Or that he wasn't this criminal that was connected to the group that comes and kills him? Like, you're just telling one type of story and saying that all stories should be like that. It's very dumb.
Story that it happens. It doesn't feel disrespectful. It doesn't feel like something that's just getting thrown away, or like it's done as an action to just rub a classic character out of the way to make way for some new retard. But at the same time, it makes us sad because we fell in love with a character. No Diddy, of course. Another very famous example of this sort of thing, even though I can't personally comment on it too much since I haven't played it personally, is Silent Hill 2. James isn't exactly a good man either. There's a reason why he's at Silent Hill being haunted. But these things are things that get internally resolved. You as the player aren't set aside to just sit there and now watch a terrible story develop because, I don't know, you get a path to understanding James, why he did the thing that he did, and even resolve it in a few different ways leading to a few different endings. And the more of the
Jesus Christ. I mean, the whole story is everybody in Silent 2, all Silent Hill films tend to be about generational trauma. I'd have to go back and look at the story of this, but I don't remember like a great redemption arc. And there's multiple endings, so that, yeah, possibly one of them is it, but is it the real one? Do people ever escape Silent Hill? He's acting like there isn't a redemption here for the protagonist when there is. You just don't like the redemption that he's having, or the realization that he comes to.
This I explained, the more surreal it feels, because I mean, this shit is like video gaming 101. If you're not having fun or having a satisfying experience, what's the point? But so many weird developers these days have...
That's so superficial too. One game might... Like, if you're not having fun with a game, don't play it. Absolutely don't play it. I'm sorry. That's just the way it goes. Not every game is made for every person, right? Isn't this the thing that the Antiwokes talk about the Wokes? Like, not every game is for you. You shouldn't change it and make things the way they are. While he's talking about the game not being the way he thinks it should be, right? There's tons of different stories that are told through tons of different games, and you don't have to like all of them. I'm playing through a game called Vargas right now in my off time, and the whole, like, most people wouldn't like the gameplay of the game. It's very dry. You're very much what's the word? It's a management game. It's basically a caravan management game with some RPG elements thrown in there, with like CRPG elements, and then the rest of it is a choose your own adventure story. But the whole game, the thing that I love about the game is discovering all the lore of all this interesting world that has been created. Someone who plays these action games probably isn't going to like the management of managing your own merchant caravan and fighting bandits, or having to look at prices of when you're traveling and things like that. Games are different for different reasons. Every game doesn't need to be, oh, I'm going to make tons of money because I'm going to make generic slop game #1.
Have this allergy towards gamers having fun.
These people, these types of people make that one haiku screenshot even more relevant. I don't know that one. You may have to send that.
Fun or being catered to or satisfied by a story, even if those stories have dark themes or struggles or things for players to overcome, like the games that I just mentioned. And it's funny because this type of issue is usually not found with female characters from the same types of studios.
It is in Returnal, the very company that made this game. It is not a happy story. It's can we look for image? It's she never really finds redemption at it. Thank you. It's a good thing you guys aren't designing Ultra Kill, or it would suck. Well, I don't know much about Ultra Kill, but I know you play that game a lot. I mean, all of these games would suck because everything would be the same. It would be every game would have the same story. There's no room for any other stories in it, and it's all action combat, right?
They have other problems, like the thing that we're going to be talking about in the next point of this video, which is the curse of The Last of Us. But when it comes to demoralizing characters and, you know, this whole pathetic thing that surrounds these male characters, we usually actually have the opposite problem.
He's showing Yotai, but where did Yotai make the main male protagonist, like, cucked? Like, why can't male characters be demoralized? Why can't a story be about despair, especially when it's a cosmic horror story? The context of that screenshot is Hakia responds to terrible ideas people keep suggesting, thinking they know better. Okay. I would like to see, like, what's crazy to me is a lot of these guys say this stuff about games, but you never see them try and write a story for a game, right? Make the game you want to make. The bar is low for making games. You can, you know, you have to be smart enough to learn the code, right? I probably couldn't do it. I'm not smart enough for the code, and I'm dyslexic as hell. But go make the story you want to make. It's low, you know, effort. People are making games with small teams. This team is 110 people. Probably not a very expensive game to make. You could just make an indie with one guy. Tell the story.
Problem when it comes to the girls. They try to overinflate them. They try to make them perfect right off the get-go. You know, the curse of the, what do you call it? Come on, dude, how am I blanking out on this? It's such a common, girl boss. The curse of the girl boss, right? Another word that a lot of people don't like to hear, but I mean, it is a thing. It follows a very specific pattern where it's hard to find struggles for the characters to overcome, and so the characters become uninteresting because of that. So when they're writing male characters...
So, I mean, this is a trope, but explain to me how, you know, Yotai is a girl boss. What things happen in the story that make her a girl boss, where she handed stuff, right? That's the idea of it. When I watch, like, the Last Jedi and things like that, I do see where Rey is very much a girl boss. Yeah, it's easier than ever to make games nowadays. There's a lot of documentations and templates for you to use. Yes, I agree. Low standards. Make the game that you say is going to make millions for the fans, right? If you hit it big, you could make millions and then start your own studio and start hiring people to make a more AAA style game. Like, show me the things that are making her a girl boss. Like when you talk about, like, Rey just happened to instantly know how to do things like the mind control stuff and other things like that. There's things where she doesn't really have to struggle, she just does it. And that's where it kind of, you can say that she's a girl boss or a Mary Sue or anything like that in the game, and I think that falls true. Unfortunately, I don't know the story of Ghost of Yotai, so show me clips, which no one seems to do, of where she is just handed stuff. I don't want your feels. I don't want your your feelings in it, and this is how I feel she is. Show me the criticism firsthand. Show me the clip and say this scene happened and this happened, right? Then I can go look at the longer side of the clip to make sure you didn't clip it out of context and come to a decision on whether she is a girl boss or not. But just saying it doesn't make it true.
Characters, they can't help themselves but drag them down to such an extent that they can't even be brought back up. And when they're writing female characters, they hype them up to such a big pedestal that there's no room to grow. They can even come off.
Again, this is him getting away from the context. He's generalizing these games and saying that this happens to all games and PlayStation does it to everything. But if you look at Returnal and Saros, and you look at the dev team that they made it, there is no difference. They demoralize the main character in Returnal. So it's just bullshit here. This isn't what's happening.
As obnoxious or just dislikable. And it's funny when you look at Sony's heroes, right? You know, the characters they established over the years, there's a very clear pattern too. Joel is gone, killed off and replaced. Nathan Drake is also gone. We'll talk more about him in a second and how much worse it could have been too. Peter Parker ends the second game hinting that he's stepping away for a while. Now coupling that with developer comments about how
I haven't played since launch, but he said he had bills to pay. Needed to get his personal life together. That sounds like something that Spider-Man says all the time, and he might be. Maybe they are for that game. There's no Spider-Man 3 that I've heard of coming out.
Spider-Man games were always actually meant to focus on Miles Morales becoming the protagonist, plus the Easter egg and rumors of Gwen Stacy, you can kinda see where it's headed too. Kratos is also gone. We'll talk more about him in a second and how much worse it could have been too. Peter Parker ends the second game hinting that he's stepping away for a while. Now coupling that with developer comments about
started as a game jam project and look how big it's got. Yeah, absolutely.
About how Spider-Man games were always actually meant to focus on Miles Morales becoming the protagonist, plus the Easter egg.
Where is this? Show me where this is. You're just saying shit. Yeah, they probably are wanting to bring out Miles Morales. He became really popular after the Miles Morales movie came out, and he's a popular character in the comic books, right? Same thing with Gwen Stacy and her Spider-Man. Is that right, Gwen Stacy? I might be fucking sounding like an idiot. And her character, Spider-Man, as I always remembered it, even watching like the TV shows and stuff like that, there were alternate Spider-Mans in the comic books and everywhere else. There was this universe. Why wouldn't they play into all these characters? But you still haven't shown where, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you'll change my mind by showing the clip where they said that it's always been about Miles Morales instead of maybe a character shift to Miles Morales for their games.
And rumors of Gwen Stacy, you can kind of see where it's headed too.
Yeah,
Kratos also ends Ragnarok in a very weird way. It's almost like there's nowhere else for him to go, no new enemy to defeat. The big bad Odin is gone. His son and Angrboda, arguably the worst parts of God of War Ragnarok, are the ones who head out in an adventure to fight the corruption or whatever it was. And Sony has recently also talked about a spin-off game where we play as Faye, Kratos' second dead wife. So we see where that's going too. Deacon St. John is gone too, although that
I'm repeating myself at this point.
one might actually be because the game didn't sell enough to warrant a sequel. But I mean, following these patterns, I'm actually curious.
So they got rid of this guy because of woke, but it didn't make enough money, so that may be a reason. Like, you're just jamming this in here.
As to what would happen in a sequel if it were to happen. What brave and stunning new character would Deacon get killed off and replaced for? Jin Sakai was literally left with an unfinished story after making waves with Ghost of Tsushima's release. He's gone now too, replaced with Ati.
Is it an unfinished story? I've heard the complete opposite from tons of people that like that game.
So, a lame, boring, uncharismatic copy of the original, because of course, it's not enough that every other protagonist is getting replaced, we need another woman in the roster. Even the cartoon games couldn't be left alone. Ratchet might not be totally replaced yet, but hey, here we go. We were given a new female Ratchet, just in case we need a brand new game with just her while using the same branding. I mean, again fellas, it is what.
Or women play these games too, and maybe they want the woman to be able to play a character. I don't know about the Ratchet stuff. I'd have to look into that. But this is just nitpicking everything where they added a woman into it.
What it is. But you know what's funny? You know who didn't get replaced midway through a story or just abandoned for a sequel? Aloy from Horizon. But hey, that's my bad for noticing patterns, am I right fellas? Nothing to see here.
So one game denotes a pattern?
Boys, you know, sorry.
And there's only 2 games out for this, right?
I stepped too far. But anyway, sorry about getting sidetracked here, let's move on. Back to the point.
Pattern recognition has failed all of these retards.
All those stories that challenge the character's morality could be argued that they're not built for empowerment or whatever, but they have a point to them. Things to overcome, which is empowering in its own way. But there ain't nothing like that in Saros, it's just embarrassing and pathetic.
Notice how he said spoilers, but he hasn't shown anything of Saros. He's just talking about it. He's just doing all these vague things about all these other things that seem to be woke. And they always go with the term like go woke, grow broke. But as we've seen, this franchise right here, Horizon, has made tons of fucking money. Spider-Man has made tons of fucking money. Even God of War Ragnarok is a success. I think it sold like 15 million copies or, or something like that. Saying Rivet is replacing Ratchet is like saying Tails is replacing Sonic. Okay, that makes sense.
There's no room to grow or find redemption or even any path to absolution because he's just a beaten dog. And the language that these characters are written with, you know, the dialogues and everything, oh my goodness, guys. It's so lame. It sounds
Can you show me this? Can you show me this dialogue?
like I'm watching one of those boring Netflix shows written by progressive activists who never earned their writing positions. Sounds like I'm in a weird sanitized therapy session. The whole thing is just so clinical.
I think that says more about you than it says about the writers.
Bereft of any fire. It feels like it's even worse than what you can find in Mass Effect Andromeda. Shit, it feels like those kinds of scenes you would find in Dragon Age Veilguard where the characters are talking about personal traumas, minus the exaggerated focus on like gender stuff and pronouns. It's all.
Do you ever regret coming here, Kira?
Here we go.
Why would I? It brought us together.
I'm here because I ran. Because I needed to be free after everything he put me through. Is that selfish?
Selfish is fine. Selfish is just looking after yourself. So long as you don't hurt anyone else.
Better get back. Delaware wants our survey report. But this place, it's just for us.
Just for us. Forever.
Is there something wrong with that dialogue? Like, seriously, is there something wrong with that dialogue? The whole story is about trauma, right? She felt trauma from being in the toxic relationship that she was in. He is realizing the trauma of all the things that he has done and trauma he's been put through by his father. And the what is it, generational trauma that he's going through. Yeah, they're going to talk about those things in a game that does that. He didn't seem to have a problem with it when it was a woman in Returnal doing the same thing. But now that we've added a man into the picture, suddenly it's a terrible story with no redemption for the man, and it's just woke activists and what is the other thing? Theater kids writing, right? You could flip this, you can literally flip it back to the other game, and he doesn't have a problem with it, and flip it to this game.
I didn't know. I thought she needed me.
This is
She
also
came here for peace.
this is also after the whole first section where he was thinking he was the hero. So this is like the second run through of beating the game. So this is when he's starting to realize, oh, maybe I wasn't the hero.
As you found it with me.
It's all really just a shame because at the end of the day, that kind of becomes the premise of Saros, when in reality, hiding underneath that are some pieces of world building, especially about the planet and this godlike villain at the center of it all, plus other concepts that I will not spoil, which could
I'll spoil them since you don't seem to want to. The god that they're talking about, or the eldritch being that they're talking about, seems to feed on people's wants and needs to the point that it drives them insane, that they become this thing that only thinks about themselves. It actually caused the original first group to come onto the island, the first expedition, if you will, to become gods and twist the world around them into this weird abomination that it is. And then they go to war with each other because they all want to be king.
could have potentially been awesome to explore in a more satisfying way, but instead, none of it really matters, because the focus is about making you feel like crap, making you feel
Yes, if you completely get rid of all the eldritch horror and what the eldritch being is doing, it does seem like that. Yeah, if you take out all of the context of the game, that's what it seems like.
feel bad for playing as a weak, emasculated, toxic, bad ex-husband, while even if you brave it all, even if you win, even if you give it your best for your goddamn redemption, even if you defeat a god, to complete your goal, to find your wife, the best you get is your ex living out a lesbian fantasy because, hey, yeah, no, by the way, she fell in love with some random crewmate. Just basically every other PlayStation exclusive these days too. It's actually kind of insane how often this happens.
Which ones?
It's kind of ridiculous. The frequency is also part of the problem because, again, it's one thing to have a diverse layout.
See, the thing is they can say the Boogeyman PlayStation, but that's not who made the game, right? Yes, there can be some situations where woke has fallen down to it, but again, if you look at the other game and if you actually look at the story with anything other than a very surface level, it's not even a surface level look. He's ignoring all of the rest of the game to come up with this idea that it's just so we can demasculate a man.
Out of stories, character arcs, character types, and premises to explore, but it's another when you're just applying this one thing to almost everything that you do. It's like, where's the diversity? We're always talking about diversity. Where's the diversity in stories? Where's the diversity in characters? I'm being
This story is not like any of the other stories that you've talked about. The story is completely different than all of them. I mean, it's not a new trope. Like, no one's made a new trope in God knows how long. But this isn't the same story as any of the other games that you've brought up.
Had the same shit sandwich with every goddamn game. If any viewers listening to this right now have any hope for the upcoming Intergalactic Space Prophet or whatever the hell it's called, if you think it's going to be any different, good luck, cause I bet it's gonna be the same. Any semblance of a unique premise shoved aside so we can go ahead and have another sanitized story about interpersonal dramas, Reddit therapy sessions, and content that the writers.
I'm mad that the game that's about generational trauma is preaching to me about generational trauma. Do you see how, like, this guy is so dumb that he got cucked by Saros?
Think is like peak emotional writing that harkens back to what made The Last of Us work because everyone in their bubble said so, but in reality it just falls on deaf ears and only really gets praise from game journalists who spend the rest of their year writing shit into reviews such as, oh, this cartoon mouse game is bad because it has too many cheese references. Now there's the target audience for this new wave of PlayStation's.
I don't care about these guys get cucked by these news sites too. Like, every time we turn around, they're going at, like, PC Gamer is doing it, or The Gamer, or something like that. They're writing these excuse me, these clickbait articles to get you to click on it because they know it'll make the anti-woke mad and they can just do their rage bait back. It's we saw this back with Kotaku and all the other ones. It's not different. It's not, they're not making changes to the games. They're just writing retarded hate bait, rage bait articles.
Exclusives. Game journalists and theater kids who never made it but instead of getting a job decided to LARP as professionals, waiting to get hired as writers or sensitivity consultants through diversity and sensitivity programs at major entertainment companies who keep wanting.
Yeah, this guy has done nothing but be on his bias. This is nothing but a word salad of everything you should say in a video. Y'all are right. This guy doesn't say anything worth noting.
Wondering why their products are flopping. But Dez, you're just...
The game in front of you didn't flop. God of Ragnarok didn't flop. Spider-Man 2 definitely didn't flop. Y'all keep saying that these games are flopping, but they're not. They are making money. You just want to change the the number of copies it is that they have to sell. Stop me from commenting on an Asmongold post in the future. Absolutely brain damaged replies. Yeah, his audiences, they're more retarded than most people. I'm pretty sure they all have handlers, or if not, they need handlers. You have to be an absolute retard to believe anything that guy says. But yeah.
This is too much, Dez. You're saying too many things. You're going...
Well, no, you're saying the same thing over and over again with no real context of what's going on.
Too crazy. Am I really? I mean, look at Aphelion. It just came out. A game by Don't Nod, a studio I used to respect as well. And by the way, you can expect a video on this very soon.
What's the deal with
and for some reason...
What is the deal with Aphelion? Let's see. I gotta look up this game. I'm gonna have to look into this one too and see why they're saying it's so damn woke. I don't know. That's one I'm gonna have to look into.
Don't Nod, in the current state that they are in, which is not a good one, decided that the right person to hire as a writer for this upcoming sci-fi game is an activist who was writing anti-gamer pieces all the way back during the first Gamergate. Shit like this on screen right now. Oh, gamers don't need to be your audience. Gamers are...
So it's literally only because it has a journalist in it. Is that what I'm hearing? I hope that's not true. I hope I can look at this and see that the story is bad, or that it's like, you know, Dragon Age Veilguard levels of woke. You know, hopefully that's what it is.
Over. If gamers aren't the audience of video games, I mean, what are we doing here? Can somebody please, like, am I high? Did the cough syrup that I took contain, I don't know.
The thing is, and the journalists are just as retarded for this, is like, gamer is a very broad word, right? Everyone thinks that they're the gamers, but in reality, most people that would consider themselves real gamers are the minority. The slop gamers, the people that buy AAA slop, their Call of Duties, their Assassin's Creeds, their game that the AAA company made. Those guys outnumber us in the thousands, millions even. But even then, when you get to like the more hardcore gaming audience, it's very, very, and they're going to hate this word, diverse. Some people only like CRPGs. Some people like colony management games. Some people are ball and gun gamers. Some people play cozy games. Some people play a mixture of all of that. There are tons of genres that are out there that for people to play games, but you think that you're the gamer audience when you're not.
hallucinogenics or some shit. That's just one of them. We got more if you want to. I mean, you know, CD Projekt Red decided that, you know, in their infinite wisdom, they already had great writers working on Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077. So what did they decide to do? Well, let's hire an activist, Mary Kenny, who used to work with Sweet Baby Inc., and let's put her as a senior writer in one of their upcoming projects, which I believe is the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077. I mean,
Okay. The mobile game overspends almost everyone by a lot. Yeah, I wasn't really talking about them. Yes, those games make billions upon billions of dollars. Then you got war crime pig gamers. That's right. We love our war crimes. Which is sad because I have a lot of games. I have quite a few games where you can commit some kind of atrocity or war crime in it.
Again, is this am I under some kind of, did I take some bad medication here, or is the industry just that stupid?
Hold on, what did he say there?
The core question remains, and I'm even going to widen it up to more than just Saros, since we used to work with
but this is what the
Sweet
video is
Baby
about.
Inc.,
You said
and let's
nothing
put
about
her
Saros.
as a senior writer in one of their upcoming projects, which I believe is the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077. I mean,
yeah, the Sweet Baby Inc. derangement syndrome is fucking real. Like, I get it, you know, there's things that they have said that's insane, but you just can't believe that everything that happens is going to be based on that. They've already primed the new Witcher game to be woke. So nothing that anyone does for that game is going to be in any kind of good intentions or good faith, as you would seem, because they've already just said that she's a girl boss, even though the previous games and the books have kind of been setting that up.
again, is this am I under some kind of, did I take some bad medication here, or is the industry just that stupid?
You don't make the game that I like.
The core question remains, and I'm even going to widen it up to more than just Saros. And
He's been talking about more games than just Saros. He's mentioned 5 different games without showing anything but gameplay in the background of it. What do you mean you're going to open it up to other games besides Saros? You've shown next to nothing about Saros.
since we talked about other games just now, where's the incentive or the appeal, or whatever you guys want to call it, for us to buy games whose stories are too busy trying to push tiresome progressive tropes or other little weird shit that
I didn't realize like generational trauma was like progressive woke tropes. They're just tropes that happen in movies and gaming that have been happening for years. Solero, never Saros teach.
everyone is fatigued by
Solaris
from
never
years
Saros
of
teach.
it. If Sony wants to keep their exclusives exclusive and wants to keep people buying their consoles, they're gonna have to have a come to Jesus moment where they stop making cringe like this. They're gonna have
They didn't make it though. Sony didn't make any of these games.
to kick out all the activists they hired onto their California.
Well, I stand back. My phone fucked up. I would say so. I was trying to read into the deeper meaning of it. This is like, it's... Everything has to be made by the big bad. It always has to be the big bad. Sirico never saw twice.
Offices. They should even close it down. The rent is way too high. They're gonna have to scrap all of their little DEI consultant groups that they partner with, like Sweet Baby Inc., and they're gonna have to start making some real video games. They're gonna have to go back to the mentality that they had around 15 years or so, where they weren't ashamed of catering to their core audience, because that's really the big problem at the end of the road here. It's that
So this game, Saros, because this is what he still seems to be talking about, even though he's doing this thing, is not, one, it's not a mainline title. It's an exclusive, sure, but it's not like one of their mainline titles. It's made by a smaller company that makes a game that is definitely not for everybody. One, the first game seemed to turn a lot of people off of it because of how hard it was doing the roguelite side of it. So both of these games are roguelites. That's already a genre that's not all of that, which is kind of niche. You're just deleting all your shit, huh? Which is kind of niche to begin with, right? It's become more popular because roguelites are easier than roguelikes, but it's still that idea that it's a more, niche concept. Then you go into it that these guys like to tell stories of some kind of trauma. They tell them, they're very dark stories, and they leave you without really knowing the answers and making you theorize what's really going on. You know, they don't tell you the whole story. They give you pieces of the story and you have to figure it out for yourself, or communities come together and figure it out. That's what these two games are, and have nothing to do with the rest of Sony's woke whatever agenda. You just don't like that it's a man at this point. You sound like Anita Sarkeesian talking about women being over sexualized in games. I can't have a weak man. Men don't experience trauma. He should have redemption arc. This is not how men should be treated. It's fucking the same thing as her crying about fucking women being over sexualized. You're just as pathetic.
There's this weird shame in appealing to core audiences when they're mostly made up of dudes. There's such a big shame in it that they even put out in their corporate reports that they want to diversify their player base. They don't want to increase their player base. By the way, this is very important. When they say diversify, sometimes some morons go like, well, you should want to diversify your player base because that means that you get more people. No, that's not what the fuck they're saying. Otherwise, they would just say, we want to increase our player base. It's obvious, by the way. I make videos. I want to increase my views. PlayStation makes games, they want to increase their sales. What they want is to diversify it. It's too male dominated. And hey, that's bad. And that's exactly what they mean. And that's the mindset that they gotta get rid of.
This is just the same fucking bullshit that a lot of people used to believe, and it isn't really a thing for it. Like this game because I'm going to keep talking about Saros because that's the game that you're supposed to be talking about in your video, and you fail to show anything about the game. You just say stuff, right? Show me the clips that you're talking about. That one clip didn't show me anything. It showed me that, yeah, he's starting to come to realization with the trauma. Once I learned about the game by having to watch an analyst video go over it and talk about the entire story and their theories and things like that, what you're showing is bullshit. You want it to be part of this bigger conspiracy that things are like that, when really it is just corporate people wanting to sell to more people, right? These journalists will say shit like there's too many men in the company, but you don't hear the companies saying this. They do say things like diversify because that's a pretty corporate word, right? Are you a woke progressive? Is you diversify your portfolio? That's the kind of talking that they're talking about. They're not talking about we need more blacks in the game. They want to cater to the younger audience even more so than anything else, the next generation that's coming up. They've forgotten about old farts like me in the AAA scene. They want to make them for the newer generation. That's why when they do a remake or a remaster, they change the way the game plays, right? There's a lot of controversy generally around games that they change the way it is to make it more amenable to the older audience, because that's who they want to play. They want the younger audience, because that's who they want to play. That's the new batch of people. I can't play 80 hours a fucking day. I have a job. My son, though, as he gets into his teens, will be able to play a lot more after he gets off of school and things like that, right? As long, outside of me taking control of it. So that's what they're trying to do. It's still slop. They're still making slop games, but you want to focus on this gay diversity stuff. Like every time you hear the word diversity, that's exactly what it means. Oh God, my portfolio is so diverse. I must be woke.
It's not a winning one. Like, hey, I don't make the rules, fellas. Money talks. It just is what it is.
Yes, it does. 37,000 fucking copies sold for Horizon franchise. What was the other one? Spider-Man, the highest selling game ever on fucking PlayStation. These games are making money. I don't know what Saros is doing right now. It's a smaller team, a more niche game, so I doubt that they're going to be pulling those numbers. But these games are making money, bud.
Is because even though Saros has a hectic bullet hell style of gameplay which tickles a lot of people's fancies, why would I want to pay $70 for that when the story pull isn't there? Why would I want to pay more than...
Because some people just want to play the gameplay. Not everyone gives a shit about story, right? Some people are really into the story side of it, but not as into the gameplay side of it, but they play the gameplay to get to the lore. Those people are weird to me, but I like to do both generally. I want the gameplay to be good and I want the lore to be good within it. It's different types of gamers, right? Some person will ignore the story 100% completely and just play through it.
For example, $25 or maybe $30, maybe even just $20, like, just is what it is. If I'm not...
I mean, I agree it's overpriced for what the game is. It probably should have been like $40, $50, maybe.
Not going to get a complete product, what's the point? The pull just isn't there. Like, if I didn't care about story and I just wanted to shoot at neon lit crap on screen, I'd be playing Marathon, and God knows ain't nobody playing that game.
That's what? It's not even the same type of game. This is specifically a bullet hell roguelite. What are you fucking talking about? Look at this! Of course. They've got to get the digs in for everything else, but actually talking about the game that he says his video is about.
I think that while that weird bias is there against guys, against male-dominated audiences, against like male-dominated appeal, Sony's just never going to stop making the same mistake. Just gonna keep having more and more stories with these weird poisonous Sonyisms that just take me out.
The biggest mistake that Sony has made so far has been buying Bungie and thinking that Bungie was going to start going to all these different little dev companies and start throwing out live services that were just bangers, even though Destiny had been dying. Destiny 2 had been dying for years. Poisonous Sonyism, Jesus Christ. Yeah. That was their biggest mistake for paying all that fucking money.
Out and make me not...
Again, live services are by far killing gaming companies way more than fucking these games are.
Want to buy their games. And it's really sad to see the state that we got to, because it doesn't feel like it's even been that long since I was always looking forward to a new PS4 exclusive trailer to show up at like E3 or Gamescom or, you know, those things that they do. Even games that some people love to hate actually had terrific sci-fi story premises hiding inside them, like Horizon Zero Dawn. Some people cross that off immediately because it's a female protagonist and shit, and there's also a lot of soy in the current world building of the present of the game, you know, the current factions, you know, like the Karja and the Osram, they all kind of...
The real tragedy that nobody is talking about is how most gamers are settling into formula, into slop, mediocre, passable, but ultimately not memorable. Yes, that's exactly what it is. I mean, the gaming industry has already won in a way with making microtransactions and things like that just commonplace, right? That's why we get these live service, battle pass, skin buying, all this other fucking bullshit that we used to complain about for years, because gamers can't fucking not spend money on dog shit. So yeah, the younger generation, the generation that's playing more than we are now, is coming up raised in that environment. It only takes one generation to change minds. on it. So they just play the formulaic slop that is brought to them, and it makes money. I hate to tell all of these guys, it's making money. Yes, they have bloated their groups out. So that's why we're seeing all of the firings and that they've been happening, because it was happening before COVID, but COVID accelerated their growth, and corporations love to see big growth. But now they've grown to the point, and you realize that more people doesn't make good games. They've lost money on trying to do that. They have to spend millions of dollars on these games to pay everybody who's going through it, and they end up having to fire all these people because no, it's leveled out. People aren't buying tons of games anymore. There's also prices going up. Video games are now $70, $80 at times just for the base game. People can't spend that much money, not with the prices that the economy is having on everybody. Gas prices, food prices, housing costs. There's just, people don't have the extra income to drop $70 on a game. The reviewers and influencer journos like Desborough are coming up dry because they don't actually know what quality is. All they really know is what Steam charts tell them. Exactly. Exactly. And when you look at games like Marathon, doesn't seem to be doing well on PC, and that seems to be where their growth is. The people I talk to who are playing Marathon are just playing it and having a good time. It seems like what might be the problem with Marathon, it has nothing to do with woke. It has more to do with people are not getting to, like, it's a learning curve. The game has a learning curve that people don't want to spend the time to get through, right? That whole idea of I shouldn't have to play this many hours to get to the good part of the game. I think that's probably what it's failing from. Knowing and talking to people who play the game like religiously.
Kind of feel a little bit like you're watching a Disney Pixar movie. But that main story about what happened, you know, the whole Zero Dawn protocol and shit, that was dope, dude. But with this bias ruining the games that come next, and also with the Curse of the Last of Us, and I mean the real Curse of the Last of Us, because again, as I said in the intro, some people like to say the Curse of the Last of Us games is games with over-the-shoulder cameras and very slow and, you know, grounded type of gameplay. Some motherfuckers even call it movie games, but I mean, come on, man. I mean, there's one thing that the meme does kind of get right, which is the forced lesbian thing. It feels like they do that a lot too. It's kind of like, oh, we gotta.
What is a non-forced lesbian thing? Like, honestly, what would be a story where it's non-forced lesbianism? Can you tell me that? Can you write that story for me? Because it seems like you just say that, but you don't say what the solution would be. Like, it's just, we shouldn't have lesbians in games.
Do something that is even more.
The Last of Us wasn't even the first big game to do that. There's this thing that happens in media tropes of passing the torch, right? You could keep making slop games about Kratos, but it'll eventually get boring and stale. So in a lot of stories, a torch will be passed. With Kratos, it was a father-son dynamic. He calmed down a little bit and was teaching his son, right? I'm trying to think of one here. The whole Witcher is a father-daughter dynamic. That's just what it is. This isn't a new trope by any means. It's just something that happens.
More emotional.
And if you add in lesbians to it, then it's completely terrible. I don't understand the hate for lesbians that's happened with this new generation.
Something that really just crosses the barriers, something that is really brave and strong, and so they go for like a lesbian relationship, but in reality, is it really brave and strong? I mean, it feels so overdone now. It feels like it's more than acceptable. It's
half the time though, there isn't like a lesbian relationship. Like, name all the games that like forced a lesbian relationship into it. I hope you didn't steal that take from me, because that is what I said about Calm Down being a father. Oh, are you trying to say I'm Noah, buddy? Pal? I don't know that I've watched your video on that. But I mean, it's just a common trope. He steals from everyone, Vincent. Otterly Piglet, don't you fucking dare. And homosexuality and LGBT is oversaturated in a lot of media. Okay, I mean, I can see you saying that. Like, it's definitely more saturated than it was in previous days. But is it that it's being forced into it in every situation? There are some that force into it. Or is it just it's in stories now? That's my big argument when it comes to this kind of stuff, is how well is the character played? You can pretty much, like, there are instances where they are speaking to you in a activist way, if you want to say that, or it's telling you what you should think. That's the best way to think of it. Telling you what you should think. But those have always been a thing, and they've always been bad stories, right? Or not always, but most of the time they're bad stories. I think Joel went too soft in Last of Us Part 2, but that is an opinion and is just an example of parallel thinking. Well, yeah, it's again, I've never played any of The Last of Us, even though it's on PC now. But you can I've heard a lot of people talk about that aren't the culture war kind of stuff, and a lot of people don't like the story of Joel in that series, right?
The reason why people complain about it isn't because, oh my god, we are like marginalized. No, it's not that. It's because it's usually just boring, poorly written sludge. It's like writers don't know where to take the characters or what to add to them, and so they go for the old classic. Because that way it also allows them to protect themselves from criticism behind ideology. It's like, oh, you don't like this? Well, it's because you're a bigot. It's like, ah, yes, of course.
I'm pretty sure they call you a bigot because you point at black person and say bad, or you point at lesbians and say bad. I don't do that. I try and stay out of that. I generally don't think most people are bigots or racists or homophobes or anything like that. You would have to show me actual stuff besides you having incredibly bad, retarded gaming takes.
Lesbians, famously known for being, things that guys have a problem with. So as far as the Curse of the Last of Us meme goes, maybe that part can be partially accurate, but in general, that's not the Curse of the Last of Us. There's a lot of games like those that are actually dope, like Resident Evil 4, Dead Space, so on and so forth. You're gonna go down the list. I think the Curse of the Last of Us that affected Sony and some other third-party studios is they stopped caring about interesting premises and instead started hyper-focusing on overly emotional dogshit storytelling, lasered in on characters that these people in charge.
How many writer moments have we had? Desbro truly has the buzzwords down, but I haven't seen he has understanding of much of anything. Yeah, he really doesn't. It's just really repeating over and over again the same talking points of woke this, woke that. Like, there's agreement that I can have in something he said there, that AAA games stopped caring about story and just started pumping out slop. But it's not the DEI emotional blah 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 slop that they say it is, right? It's just they focus on these games that are written for that reason. Like what Saros is a tale of trauma and generational trauma at that. It forced it down into his marriage and his relationship that was going nowhere. And she decided that she didn't want to get dragged down, even though she almost declined to go to stay with him. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back. If you can't tell that story, then like, what are we talking about? I'm sorry, if you don't like that story, don't play the game. but there's way more to it than just he was cucked and lesbian relationship.
Charge of writing them don't have.
I never got into The Last of Us, probably because it was too popular, which never was a problem for me before, strangely. So I've gotten into the thing where I play a lot more indie games, or I've started to harden into my familiar games. Like I play a lot of RimWorld. I have Vargas, the Riven Realms is a game that I am currently trying to go through it. Stellaris is a game I enjoy playing. I'll always go back to. I have like my go-to games, and I occasionally buy something else if something piques my interest, right? If I ever do play it, I'll try and find the PS3 version, because in that game there's a note mentioning other kids like Ellie that gets cut out of the remaster. Interesting. I thought Last of Us Part 1 was overhyped and didn't like the Naughty Dog gameplay overall. Maybe. A lot of people liked it.
Have any talent or know-how in executing, ending up in them looking like fan fictions that you'd find on Tumblr. So let's talk about that now. So let's say that again, a hyper-focus on overly emotional, dog-shit storytelling focused on characters that these people in charge of writing don't have any talent or know-how in executing. I would say that it's that mixed with a disregard for the premise of a story. That's what kills me the most. Premises are my favorite things in stories. I like cool, interesting ideas and concepts. Even if they're not entirely unexpected or unique, if at least they're interesting and well executed, I'm in. Oh fellas, I am all the way in, even if the stories don't have like characters or voice acting. You can check out just how much value I put into premises of stories by watching this video I made a couple of months back on a little obscure like $6 indie game called Metal Garden. It's goddamn peak. But The Curse of The Last of Us is one where the premise doesn't matter. It can be totally weak because the main focus will be the characters and their development, which originally worked with a strong and relatable hook between Joel and Ellie. You know, this sort of father-daughter.
In the past, games were really about hobbies, not even art, just instilling an arcade feeling. This controversy over story just confirms the theory that modern gamers just want to watch movies. Not that they want to watch movies, they want to interact within those movies, right? It is much more enjoyable, I think, to play through a game and get the entertainment out of the game than it is to just sit and watch a movie, at least for me anyway, when you go through it. So yeah, people want stories in games. If you think about it, like games were really just, you're right, basic arcade games, but then Mario came out and it was the first one of the few games that actually started having a story that got popular, and then stories started to get put into games after that. You know, more and more games had some kind of story added to it. Now you get to, you know, later in the years where the art is better, the modeling is better, the graphics are better, things like that. You can tell deeper stories with games. I mean, you can say, you know, it wasn't art back then, but it was art. You you designed it the way you wanted it to feel. And, you know, yeah, some of it was, you know, just playing the game, but there were still games that had, you know, some kind of meaning. Final Fantasy is a good example of a series that has meaning behind it in every way. Sometimes it's just getting to the point that you're killing gods, but there's a story there around it, right? It's just become so much more popular that more people are making them, right? So you get a more varied idea of stories.
Style story in an apocalypse. A second chance for Joel to let his walls down and have a daughter figure, as hard as that may be for him, since he saw his child die in the first day of the apocalypse, right in his arms. He never wants to go through that pain again in this broken world, so there's an interesting dynamic there. and also a chance for Ellie to finally find someone to grow close to, you know, like somebody who will teach her shit, someone who will always be there, who will be her company and protect her.
Yeah,
without
Kimoji and visual novel effects in Western gaming. And like with Kimoji games, it gets crazy. Sometimes it's hard to play those games because while I enjoy story, I don't want to stop and have to watch like a 15 to 20 minute cutscene going over stuff. Like I want to still be involved. Like he wants to make movies, but instead he makes games.
Without abandoning her or using her as a trading chip. Something that is also difficult for her to bring out because it's just something that she's not used to. This shit worked. Also, I don't know, back then zombie media was kind of begging for a game just like that, you know, more mature and character focused, and also brutal, where just because you meet two brothers surviving, where one of them is a kid, and you bond with them throughout your journey, doesn't mean that everything is just going to be okay, you know, like in most other games, where it's like, it's fine, the plot armor will take care of it. Instead, you get hit in the nuts.
So you're saying you don't need the game to be a redemption arc. You can just get hit in the nuts. Is that what we're saying right now?
The little kid gets bitten and the big brother has to take care of it while utterly broken by the grim situation. Also, little to no cringe dialogue. A lot of things in The Last of Us were acted out, and the developers didn't care if you didn't catch it. They weren't there to force feed a narrative to you, or try way too hard with certain scenes, like when the scene like I just described with the brother. Like, what do you even say?
Well, I mean, every game that has a story is force feeding you the narrative. They just had really good writing, I guess. But there are themes in that game, like you just said, that they're pushing and they're trying to tell the story through, right? Most people who write stories generally don't just write the story to be a bland, action story. They like to send a message to tell something while they're telling the story.
In a situation like that, there's no words that can even be spoken, and when you actually watch the scene back, it's hard to do any nitpicking at it, like, come on, he wouldn't say that or he wouldn't do that, because it was just well done. There were cases where less...
All that really means when you say that, I couldn't nitpick that apart, it means you liked it, right? If you don't like it, it's way easier for you to nitpick it apart. You can always nitpick something. You can always decide, no, he wouldn't have done that. A lot of people who say that, like, that character wouldn't have done that. Are you sure? Like, what story are they trying to tell? Is it a good story? Maybe, maybe not. But people only tend to nitpick the stuff they don't like.
Was more, and they understood that. For example, in order to know that when Joel looks at Ellie, he is reminded of his daughter. You don't have a scene where Joel goes, Ellie, you really remind me of my daughter. Yeah. Instead, he just quietly looks down at his broken watch, which is the last gift that his daughter Sarah ever gave to him, and that he keeps to that day. And that's it. If you caught it, you caught it. If you didn't catch it, too bad. And no matter if we're talking about the grim situation with the two brothers or Joel throughout the entire...
So you can do it both ways, right? I do like a don't tell me, show me kind of style, but there is good writing where they do mention it, where maybe he opens up and talks about his daughter, to her. Yes, it's very cringe and very gay when they just flat out say the thing out of nowhere for no reason, but just saying that, like, oh, it's only the visuals that did it. That's more of a preference.
Game. Even when he gets severely injured and then it's Ellie's turn to take up the mantle and you play as her, trying to take care of him. None of it is done with that weird, disgusting bias that we have now. None of it is done to make the player feel emasculated and for the character to feel pathetic. It's not done to lecture players in these weird social messaging things that developers love to shove into games.
Joel dying in the game may suck, but enjoyable in the show because of Pascal fatigue. Yes.
Nowadays. Instead, it was done because it added weight and shock to a story. Do it well while respecting your players' intelligences and your characters, of course, and this is a great way to lock people into a story emotionally. That's the thing about kind of subverting expectations too. When you're actually doing it in a way that feels fresh, there's an openness to it. But when you're doing it all the time, you're not subverting anything anymore. That's why nobody gives a shit about.
I mean, you really can't subvert anything more in media. Everything that's been subverted can be subverted. Subverted. It's just kind of, we all know all story tropes. No one's really come up with anything new. So I don't know what you're talking about. Like I could generally predict a story and how it's going to go while listening to it. Oh yeah, this is going to be the revenge arc where he's, going to do this and that. Oh, it's going into he's going to realize he doesn't need to commit revenge. Or I see it's going to go into he's just going to, the revenge is the beauty of it, the sweet spot, right?
About Neil Druckmann's reputation anymore. His shit worked once. Also, while it was balanced, now it's repetitive and he isn't even balanced anymore. Bro completely lost his mind, or maybe his mind was really just never quite there to begin with, and everyone just hyped the dude up. For instance, in Uncharted 4, this is the thing that I said that I was going to develop on, he apparently wanted to kill Nathan Drake off at the end, just to score some more forced emotional points. Like, the dude doesn't even read the room of the franchise that he's working on, he just has one state of mind.
What's wrong with killing off a character and like finishing the series? Character deaths done well can, bring you emotional, bring you feelings of emotion or things like that. That guy that you followed for 4 titles dying, finally in his last expedition, or, you could do it as is he's doing it to save other people. You can do it for a lot of different reasons. Like, this isn't even a new trope. This is a pretty beat down trope of someone dying eventually in the series. I'm sure the only reason it didn't get done was they wanted to make more games at that time.
Forced emotion through shock and misery. Something that worked in The Last of Us would have not worked in Uncharted 4. It would have been a disaster. Then he brings that idea.
How could George kill Vader like that? Doesn't he know we wanted more? Read the room. Yes, exactly. It's just like this is like the most milquetoast analysis of media that there is. Wow, you just described a trope that exists that is done well in some cases. You just wouldn't like it to happen in this case.
Back in The Last of Us 2, but does it in an even worse way. Completely fails to read the room, fails to take consistency into his thought process, and just kills Joel in the stupidest way possible with the dumbest motivations behind it, and, the worst part, an actual distaste for the character. So basically, what you had in The Last of Us 2 was a total disconnect where Neil hated a character that the fans loved, and so he dispatches that character with next to no care to it, next to no goddamn respect, while forcing a narrative of pity and rightful revenge for this new character that nobody wants to play as, but that he desperately wants us to like. Good
that you don't want to play as. You don't know if others don't. Like I said, I don't know much about the Last of Us stuff. I know Smash JT really liked it, and he thought it was an okay story, and that people needed to stop, just bashing women. But other than that, yeah, most people don't seem to have liked it. I don't think it's this woke agenda that needed the woman to be, the protagonist. I think they were trying to pass the torch and they failed. They wrote themselves into a corner or something like that. I can understand the viewpoint of The Last of Us 2 was made as a middle finger to the fans of the original, kind of like with the Joker 2. That's possible. I mean, that it could be possible. Like I said, I don't know much about that. Yeah, the Joker 2 is definitely like a middle finger to those. But the Joker 1, like, I guess they were hoping that people were going to hate the character by the end of it, and people didn't. Some people enjoyed it, I guess. I don't know what other things they were hoping people would do.
Good job, moron.
I would actually be curious to see how much time Despero talks about the actual game that is in the title compared to everything else. I mean, at this point, he hasn't said much of anything about Saros, and he's shown one clip, right? One clip in here.
But anyway, sorry for the rambling here. The point is that in The Last of Us, the premise isn't very important. You just have to take a girl from A to B because she's immune to the virus and maybe a vaccine can be made. Oldest cliche in the zombie book, but unimportant because the journey and the interpersonal drama and development between the characters is what mattered the most. And while it worked there, I'm sorry, but it's kind of feeling old now. Every other franchise at Sony has been going down this road and it's tiresome, especially when these people can't execute it well. I think the problem is that they think it's a science rather than a talent. They think that if you hit the same notes while trying to imitate or straight up follow other people's stories as a template, like The Last of Us, then you'll be able to get the same result. And they don't even take into account that, you know, variation would be nice. Like, yeah, sure thing, bro.
So you're telling me Ghost of Yotai was about a character with a child character taking him across the world to do something? Like, you're not being very consistent with the way it's going right now. Like, these two things are different games with different tropes in them, but you're comparing them together because of woke.
Brother, I'm not going to spaz out if you give me some over-emotional lesbian storyline on Monday, if on Tuesday at least you give me some epic sci-fi thing, and then on Wednesday you give me some like epic fantasy, high fantasy or dark.
And this is where people get like the idea that these guys don't actually play games. And I saw Atreus making the dumbest comment ever. I don't have to play a game to speak on it. I was like, okay, there can be a truth to some of that. Like when I was talking about Ghosts of Yotai, I was talking a lot about the numbers and what's being said in the numbers and the clips that people actually showed of the lesbian scenes and things like that. A lot of that was, you know, talked about. But if you're going to get like deep into the story that you say that this guy is cucked, you need to play through the game instead of just repeating what everyone around you says.
Dark fantasy shit, but you're just giving me the same thing across the board. And so that,
or at the very least, do what I did with Saros and go watch some analysis video of a guy who's actually unbiased, right?
There you go, you know, here's Saros, have fun playing as a cuck who gets lectured about how bad he is.
A lot of these people make reviews of games they didn't finish or never played. Yeah, that's just the truth of it. I hate things I have zero experience in. Yes.
While fighting through a hellhole to get his woman back. And oh, by the way, plot.
You don't need to play games to talk about it. I love Baldur's Gate 3. Never got out of the ship, but I love it.
Twist, the woman is a lesbian actually, and she doesn't actually want you anymore. There isn't anything to solve or to get over or earn. It's really not, it's not about you, okay, sweetheart? It's not about you, okay? Just, I don't know, figure it out. Maybe leave the planet with her and the girlfriend, like, I don't know, maybe you could join them as a third wheel. Like, I don't know, maybe the women could use some kind of handyman back.
It never insinuates any of that. In fact, you still really don't know what's fully going on by the end of this story. It's left so open-ended, just like the first game was, to open theories about what's happening. You don't even walk off with this girl, right? As far as I'm aware, you just go through the motions, and then there's, you know, press X to doubt that. There's no real conclusion, right? Outside of maybe seeing it from this point or another point, or who killed who, or, you know, what happened here and there. There's no actual conclusion besides the one ending where he says, hey, I'm realizing who I am. I'm letting go of her. That's a whole big portion why he keeps fighting and turning into the king, is because he's still holding on to that memory of her, that he can save her when really they have been separated forever, that they're not on the same path. It's like saying the one chick in Doom Dark Ages was a girl boss, coming off playing it and asking, where did you get that from? Clearly not in the game itself, right?
Home, you know, like to make sure the pipes are tightened and all the electrical outlets are working, and make sure that the car isn't making any weird noises. But that's about
this is all just bullshit that you can tell he's never even played the game.
it.
This is probably someone else's gameplay.
But Dez, you're exaggerating or whatever. Fine, take Horizon Forbidden West DLC then. They made it about two lesbians falling in love while fighting some rich, eccentric type of dude who was
one of the superhumans who escaped the apocalypse and came back, except this one, like, landed somewhere else and built his own fortress. Okay.
supposed to be so much more, but instead was just, I don't even remember his name anymore. The other character that you end up falling in love with had some drama with her tribe, like there was also some drama between Aloy and her, but then, you know, hey, don't worry about it. They kiss at the end, everything's fine.
See, after hearing, like, after going through this Saros story and then hearing this guy talk about other games, I can't believe him when it comes to the story. Like, I don't believe he is smart enough to have actual analysis of the game to come up with if it's actually woke or not, or that this is what's actually happening, right?
Fine. By the way, were you thinking of another character to romance since the first game? Well, screw you. Aloy is actually only interested in this new chick.
Like 40 seconds on the topic before drifting off to ranting on another game. Yeah, exactly.
You just met 10 minutes ago. But there's, it's optional. It's not really optional when there's no other option, brother. I'm not gonna say
if you don't have to choose it, then yeah, it's optional. That's the other choice. What are we fucking talking about?
Anything about God of War 2018 or Ragnarok, because I do like both of them. The second one got a bit Marvelish on some parts, but all in all, it still provided a journey that I enjoyed quite a lot. The biggest issues I have are these little signals of cringe that they peppered in and out, which is also something that Sony has been doing more and more of, because people would just let them get away with it because, you know, you can't really complain about it. If you complained about it, you'd get banned off of Twitter for it. Case in point,
What? Who's been getting banned off of Twitter for their fucking gaming takes? That's like, that's gone. That day has been gone a long time ago. Like Agraboda being black. Is that the chick that she falls in love with?
I just mentioned Horizon Forbidden West, and in that game there is a trans character that is just a terrible example of how representation can be done. She just doesn't fit at all. She or he or whatever it is, because I don't even know. The character's like semi-transition. So basically you're in a tribal world. Everyone lives in huts and shit. Nobody has medicine, nobody has food, you gotta go out and hunt for it, and there's like a shortage of animals because like there's this apocalyptic event that is killing foliage and trees and killing animals, you know, poisoning them, and so that you can't eat their meat because it's not bad, it's bad for you. But oh, don't worry, because you know, here's Steve, and Steve is a trans woman who discovered she had dysphoria and then started transitioning. You know, how was the transition done? Who knows? Where's like the hormones needed? You know, where's the medical knowledge? Brother, who knows? Who cares? Why?
I feel like this isn't the truth behind this character either. Like I have to watch so many or play so many games to find out what the truth is, because this guy doesn't give you a fair shake. There's nothing but seething bias for this. Also, we've probably, like, he could have shortened this video down to probably 10 minutes, because that's the amount of time that he spent actually talking about Saros.
Why are you asking anyway? Are you a bigot? And so there you go. That's kind of my issue with pretty much every Sony game recently that I end up liking the story of. It's that over time.
It sounds like you care a shit ton if you are bitching that much about this character, right?
They had these little bits of cringe hidden inside, and it still leaves me very surprised at how, for the most part, the God of War story ended up actually working out really well. I think it just coincidentally had some writers that were a bit better at executing this idea of a different Kratos than the garbage that these other studios have hired in the meantime. Besides, it's also a 2022 game. Things have gotten a lot worse since then, which is another issue.
They really haven't.
But you see my tone of voice here, you see what the problem is? It's that I don't trust them. I want to trust them. I would love to, you know, be over here and say, every single one of these is caked in ass. However, Santa Monica is doing a fantastic job with God of War. There's no problems there at all, and I'm not worried even a little bit about the sequel, but I would be lying. I'd be lying because I am worried, because I've noticed little things, and when you notice little things, but there's nothing else.
Yeah, and people still think Norse god of war is soy. I mean, maybe it is, but it made money, so go broke, go woke, go broke is just not a thing.
Else forming a pattern, it's like whatever, oh, it's just a little thing, whatever, let's move the on. But when it fits into a pattern that's screwing up a bunch of other games, that makes it different. I'm sorry. A lot of motherfuckers get mad at this. They do. There's a lot of motherfuckers out there get mad. Like, oh, we're a bigot, right-wing grifter. I don't care about these labels, man. I just care about what's...
I haven't called you any of these things. I just think you're stupid. Like, you're dumb. You're really bad at doing analysis. You just copy and paste anti-woke talking points onto your channel and don't even talk about the game that you brought into, the Saros controversy. It's exposing the fall of PlayStation modern audience stories, the Saros controversy. You haven't talked about Saros hardly at all. You haven't shown anything but one clip that shows the thing. Show me where he's walking off in the distance to go be with these gay lesbian women and live in their house. That's just not what's happening.
Palpable. I just care about what's there, and what's there ain't good.
Kratos had character development and didn't want to be a raging monster like he did in the Greek saga for his son. Oh, how about that? Guy goes to war, is a terrible person, because Kratos was never like a good guy. He wasn't a hero. He murdered all the gods who just happened to be more evil than him.
Good, like address the argument instead of going for these little things. We're gonna talk about this soon in another video, because someone else made a little video going like, oh, the grifters, and talking about High Guard and Marathon, but let's take it easy. Let me recover first. And regardless of my enjoyment of God of War, I do also understand what some other people have issue with, which is they changed it, right? There's a bigger focus on characters and giving Kratos a son, you know. I 100% understand the issue that some people have, where it's just not the vibes of the original God of War games. God of War has always been rich in story, so I also don't like when people say that, oh no, the OG...
The character growth in Kratos is why his original voice actor didn't come back. Oh really? I didn't know that.
Trilogy was just mindless slaughter and that's what we need. Hell no. Kratos' story is tragic as f***. The dude lost his original family in a gruesome way that he was never able to let go of, which is partly why the new story ends up working well too. It's because they build on these past events respectfully, but it's obvious that there's still that switch in there. A different way of storytelling too, where the originals were like more this like epic tale, whereas the newer ones are more...
And people were bitching that Kratos was somehow bastardized since he wasn't always angry and just slaughtering everything. Yeah, I mean, when I first heard about, because I played the whole series, God of War, the first three, the trilogy of it, and when I heard that they were taking him down that road that was calmer, that he was, he had a son and things like that, I was like, okay, they're going with the growth idea. They're going with, he doesn't want to pass on his trauma to his kid, right? He doesn't want his kid to be the angry beast that he was. So it seemed to make sense. And I was interested in playing him, but I never did. Once again, the original games would have been better if it had a controllable camera. Jaffe is a hack. Or Jaffe. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of problems with it. I remember. I managed to get through it though. By the way, he's doing another thing that a lot of reviewers do, where they just summarize events and say, this is a good story. Yeah, I agree. What makes it a good story? What points in it? Because he is just talking about the opening, or talking about the basic features of it, right?
More of a slow emotional burn. Still loads of violence, still loads of killing, of course, but I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. It's like, Zeus, your son has returned. Sorry guys, I can't do it, my throat is all screwed up.
Zeus, your son has returned. I bring the destruction of Olympus.
But you get what I'm saying, whereas in the new ones, it's very difficult to get Kratos to get that animal out, because...
And I think when you're talking about that, EGAT, a lot of these people, they aren't reviewers. They enjoyed the story of this particular game. There's no real analysis of breaking down the story and anything like that. Like I'm definitely not a guy who breaks down that kind of analysis on it. If I like a story, I like a story. But I try and be open that even if I don't like a story, it's not necessarily because it's a bad story. It could be not my type of story, or it could actually be terrible writing. The original creators got mad that Kratos wasn't that, but when you see an interview of the original ending of the God of War 3, it was terrible and fucking stupid. Oh yeah? I'll have to look that up. I don't think I've actually ever seen that.
He fights against it, he fights against that rage, he doesn't want his son to fall into the same path, and whenever we see it, it feels so good. Like for example, when Thor pisses off Kratos for the first time in that duel, where Kratos starts really wailing on him. There's even a moment where Thor himself says, "Finally, the ghost of Sparta," you know, something like that.
I see why my sons fell to you. Even this lesser version of you. But I am not my sons. And your boy, Allfather, has plans for him. There he is. There's the God of War.
There's less of that, right? The originals are all about that, whereas the sequels, the newer ones, are more, you know, more contained. And so I understand that there's been that change and some people are not into that. I just would not call it inherently woke. And I understand that people are now worried for the spin-off as Kratos' wife because, I mean, who knows what we'll get. For all we know, given Sony's current track record.
The problem with a lot of modern writing is everything is far too self-aware. Even if it's playing things straight and not breaking the fourth wall, it's like the author is preaching to us. In some cases, yes, I agree with you. In some cases, not. Like, I don't think Saros's writing is preaching to you in a way. It's a story about generational trauma. Sure, it's a story about mental health and about a man who thinks himself a hero when he's actually not. But that's the problem. I think it is when it happens with some of these games is we've seen the ones that are overly preachy, so now people are sensitive to it, so everything looks like that. In books readings, I can agree with you because I think books have realized that men don't read anymore. And I feel like every book, like fantasy, is turned into like a sea of female protagonists. There are good stuff out there, but it seems like it's all the kind of the same story. I don't find a lot of new books that I like to read, and I don't like a lot of, like, I tried to read this Fisher chick, and it was like quirky millennial. It was supposed to be a horror book, and it was just like quirky millennial stuff that kept taking me out of the horror every time you turned around.
We're gonna have Faye being gay with another random female character, and it's gonna be very emotional, and you know, by the end maybe she says something like, "Oh, I'll never forget you, and everyone that comes after you will never really be the same," or you know, some.
But you see what I'm talking about when he's talking about this? He's priming himself to feel like the game is going to be woke. And even if it doesn't reach that level, right? If she doesn't have some gay relationship, he's more sensitive to all the other things that may not fit his narrative for what he thinks should happen in that relationship. They prime themselves for the failure, and then even when it comes out, like with Saros, that they automatically have to decide, like have to pull in and say this game is woke because this guy's cucked. Well, you're the one seeing cucked, bud. That's on you. You're the one that feels like you were cucked by this game.
Stupid shit like that. Because I don't know, man, it's just what Sony's doing. It's just what they're doing across the board. Like, trust me, boys, I don't want to be a jackass here.
Like, here's the thing. He talks about like the same story of like two lesbians dehumanizing or demasculizing a man. But like, where has he shown that? Ghost of Yotai was proven to be false. That's just 100% proven to be false. Then we have Saros that has it in there, but if you actually pay attention to the story, it's not a cucking of it. Astrobot, well-known lesbian love story. But like The Last of Us, I guess, is the other one that he's talking about. Like The Last of Us feels like the primary one. But did God of War have this in it? Did Spider-Man have this in it? Like I don't feel like that's been happening.
I think I want to be you think I got out of bed today just to be a moron? This is truly just Sony's track record. Like, who expected this to even be a thing in Saros? I thought I was gonna get some wild alien planet cosmic horror sci-fi material. Same with Horizon Forbidden West DLC. I thought I was going to go to the burning shores of post-apocalypse California and follow up on the major cliffhanger that the game ended with. Sure enough, we get some extra information, but the focus was on the girls. They literally went like, oh, you know, let's just make a lesbian DLC. The first game's expansion was all about crazy cool sci-fi shit, giving us bits of the past, and then setting up a few things for the next villain in the sequel. The second game's expansion? It's a dating simulator. Thanks, PlayStation. Very cool. But they stop being so bad faith, it's just 2 games. It's really not though. I mean, in Spider-Man 2, out of nowhere, they take the cat and spider relationship that we formed between Black Cat and Peter in the first game.
This is Jeff's original plan for the franchise, had it been under his direction.
3 story DLCs, which was basically one big expansion released in 3 separate parts, and they just delete the whole thing. And I ain't got no evidence, fellas, but this had to have been some activist, dude. It has to. You
look at these games are all woke.
Can't even convince me otherwise. We had so much tension in history.
That's the problem. We can't convince you otherwise. You won't actually listen to reason. I don't read novels outside of old Star Wars books. Mostly I read history books. Stephen Sears books on Gettysburg is a great example. Yeah, I think that tends to be more the way. I have some books that I read. Like I've been rereading the Dresden Files. I do like some 40K books, though I really have gotten to the point that I really only like Dan Abbott's writing. With those, like I've got to read some of his newer works, but I find myself like, not finding as much that I enjoy anymore. And Spider-Man's 2 issue was just not having comic writers. They had in one similar thing happen to Arkham Knights. Yeah, I could see that.
History built in those 3 DLCs alone between these 2 characters back in 2018, and then suddenly in 2023, all of it is just gone. Peter doesn't even get a goodbye. Black Cat is just turned into an irrelevant character. She shows up for one mission. The mission isn't even played as Peter, it's reserved to be played as Miles only. And in it, with a throwaway line, she reveals that she now has a girlfriend and they're both happily married or some shit in Paris. I swear Sony cannot help themselves. It's also very funny how in this game so much potential for the Venom side of the story was sacrificed for more weird-ass personal dramas between MJ and Peter, including forced playable sections as MJ just because the director felt that was way more important.
I agree. I think the MJ parts didn't need to be there, but I don't know. Hasn't Spider-Man always had drama with MJ? Isn't that like a whole part of the franchise where he has to run off and be Spider-Man? So he can't always be there for her, especially when she doesn't know.
Important than actually making a satisfying game. And he actually goes on record saying it. I mean, here you go.
She's okay. And if she's a little OP, I don't give a shit. She's fine. I don't care.
I hate how Miles is always hated by these people. Yeah, it just seems like if anything changes whatsoever, even stuff that's already established in the franchise, then it's bad. I want to say it's odd how much they keep bringing up being cucked or emasculated makes me think they're not telling us something. Maybe they all have a bull. Maybe there's a bull problem in the anti-woke industry.
To the point where I said, we're going to do it. I don't care. We'll cut other stuff because I want to make sure that it's important to show her be a capable hero.
Oh, thank God for that.
It felt so forced and artificial. Again, more sanitized Reddit therapist garbage taking place of good content. Or like that whole section where we play as Haley because of course, black deaf women representation is so important that it has to make up like 30 minutes out of a $70 game that you can platinum in like 15 hours. This game had one good personal drama plot. It was between Miles
Can you platinum that game in like 15 hours? That seems kind of crazy.
Morales and Mr. Negative, and that's thanks to Mr. Negative being a great character with good and bad in him, and also having been the one responsible for Miles' dad dying in the first game. That thing was actually well done, but then the Venom shit is sacrificed to make up boring drama between MJ and Peter. Ghost of Yote is an even bigger and more boring disgrace. Just you wait, guys. Like, I had notes already from when I was watching the video. I even remember making a post in the community.
A lot of PlayStation games platinums are below 24 hours nowadays. Jesus.
Asking if you guys would be okay if I made a video with borrowed footage from the internet and also based on thoughts that I made up while watching the game. But then I decided not to do that. I decided, okay, forget about it. Eventually I'll be able to borrow a copy of the game and then I'll see everything myself. And when I saw everything myself, it was even worse. But I also took a break. I got legitimately bored. Unlikable-ass character with so much fake forced emotional baggage. Stuff that they think that they're doing something deep, but they're not. It's just boring.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you play as MJ in certain parts in the fucking first game? I don't remember. Again, not one that I've played, so I can agree with, you know, again, there's agreements that I think people can have with like the MJ and the other part scenes where you bought the game to play as Spider-Man, you want to play as Spider-Man. You've seen the same thing with Black Flag, right? The remake of Black Flag, they're taking out of all of the scenes of the person who's going to be him. The Asparagus, I can't remember names. So yes, I remember playing those games and just wanting to get back to that character. Is it for, I would almost agree that I don't know who the black chick is, but you can almost agree that they were doing that for diversity points, right? But the MJ stuff, they may have been trying to do something else with it, right? A normal person doing something heroic. Issue is they doubled down on something people didn't like in the first game. Not that you get this from this video because it's mostly surface level critiques and buzzwords. That makes sense.
And even the things that are supposed to work don't, either because of terrible acting or because of terrible execution. But whatever, we'll get there when we get there. Video soon-ish. You guys gotta let me recover first. Like, I got a lot of videos to get to, okay? In general, Sony has two things that they dedicate themselves to: screwing over the paying customer and making sure every game of theirs has a significant portion of their focus diverted into lame women in relationships, which is the biggest crime because you wouldn't hear me complaining about well-written characters in a relationship.
Also, how the fuck is all of this related to Saros? It's not. It's just basic buzzwords that's going on. None of this has anything to do with Saros.
At the end of the day, that's really the big problem. Terrible writers trying to...
He should have just cut out the part that says Saros controversy, because he didn't talk about any of the Saros controversy. I forgot Saros was the talking point. That's because it's not. It's because it's not.
Substitute quality with ideology. This is the true curse of The Last of Us. It's throwing interesting premises for stories out of the window and then making really bad stories about emotional baggage that neither of the writers ever nail because they don't know what they're doing.
See, you could say this in another way, that they're trying to write, I hate the people that went after Erika Ishii. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it's all forced. It's so forced that you just don't believe that they actually believe in any of the stuff that they're talking. I mean, Smash JT was mad she had popcorn. That's the kind of level of criticism we get from, Ishii haters. And the thing is she is obnoxious, right? She's done obnoxious things. She's an obnoxious person in general. Performative hate. Yeah, absolutely performative hate. Um, so like, I guess you could make criticisms there, but it's all this, she's a terrorist, woke, Antifa lesbian that's trying to destroy gaming. It's just, you can't believe it's real.
With exception of God of War, and even then I don't know because the future is looking grim. For example, I hated the Atreus section at Jotunheim with Angerboda. It was so terrible, I felt like I was watching an MCU Phase 4 movie, and if you know anything about the MCU Phase 4, then you know how bad that is aside from like 2 movies, Deadpool 3 and Spider-Man No Way Home. Sony spent so much of the recent generation basically eliminating or undermining every cool character that we had coming up from the last generation, again except Aloy.
This must go really hard for people who don't play games.
And even with a brand new IP like Saros, PlayStation is unable to just give their fanbase a new male character to hype up and get people excited to play as. They have to make it into an embarrassing, pathetic humiliation king character. And so
the only people that feel embarrassed are you. Girl, I was loving this video game and genuinely enjoying every minute that then I found a name I didn't like in the credits, and now I'm programming is kicking in, so this is a horrible video game. Yeah, I actually saw old Dum Dum Yorch Torch say that the game is suddenly flooding, like it's dropping in players when it went from like 500,000 to 200,000, so now it's a failure.
So what the hell's the point of it anymore? At the end of the day, that's really the core question. And the reasons why I sometimes bring up things that are culturally or politically charged or significant are because they already exist in gaming. And I have a pet peeve.
It's not sometimes, bud. That's all you bring up. That's all this whole video is just words.
When it comes to...
Oh yeah, I've gotten Yorch to admit that he's a grifter. He knows he is.
Other channels that discuss these kinds of things in videos, I don't like videos who just beat around the bush and ask innocent questions, or who just read you the headlines without giving you their take, instead trying to look more reasonable than other channels like this one, for example, simply because they're not commenting on the issue, they're not letting their ire be felt or whatever. It's just all left in the air. It's like, well, why is this like this? I like telling you exactly why some things are going down the way that they are going, because if we don't identify the problems, then how do we even go anywhere in terms of criticizing it? But I do wish I could help myself from that sometimes, because when I talk about these things, some people, they just don't listen, they leave. Because it's like I'm coming at it from a side, but I'm not really trying to sell you a bridge, you know. I don't have a personal agenda or ideology that
I'm not trying to sell you a bridge. This is all caused by Sony wanting to put lesbians in it and cuck men.
Trying to sell to you. I don't criticize these things because they are left-coded. If anything, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I've always felt that I'm much more left-coded or moderate-coded than right-coded. It's just that the left went fucking nuts, and now a moderate guy like myself is identified as right-wing just because I'm not stupid. Or just because when it comes to gaming, I don't want corrupt political activists influencing my stories, influencing my characters, influencing what kind of character designs I can have, so on and so forth.
Technically, they're not your stories though, right? You don't write them. You just enjoyed the content from before. They're not your stories.
Fourth, at the end of it all, my sole question, bereft of any political or ideological side, is this: why would anyone grab 70 of their hard-earned dollars?
And there it is. I don't have an ideology. This was exactly what I said about Smash JT. The only objective these people have is that nobody has an objective. Yes. You're absolutely right. It's the I'm not the anti-woke chud. I just give my own criticism, even though you're repeating the exact same criticism of everyone else and never diverting from that.
or 80 of their hard-earned euros or even more.
I can't be 100% on that with this guy. He did say he liked God of War, but he still admits that it's woke, or that people see it as woke.
Or some Brazilian people have been telling me that the games cost as much as a goddamn car. So why would I want to do that in this economy and buy Saros when Saros is written to be deliberately lame? Yeah, I just wish people thought about—
How do you know it's meant to be written deliberately lame if you haven't played it? Like, you're just listening to Twitter words and taking that as gospel, right? And you even said that the other people are lying. So did you play this game? Is that your game footage there?
about that question alone, and then
did you watch an analysis video of the whole thing? Like, I'd go for that. That's what I did to see how the story went in the game, considering I can't play it. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation to play one game.
Understood why is it that these activists have no place making decisions for multi-million-dollar AAA companies that need to sell.
Yes, I went at him pretty hard over the minor stuff. He took a lot of heat from that. Yeah, acting like grabbing a game on sale isn't a thing. No need. No, I need a YouTuber to tell me an opinion. It's not even a YouTuber at this point. I need a Twitter user to tell me my opinion, right?
Sell games like—
and all of this seems to stem from that pirate nation that posted an AI picture that wasn't even in the game.
Hotcakes, so they don't go through more and more layoffs. Because way too many people out there will misconstrue this issue, like this guy, K-Mad, a Twitter pundit who tends to strike some viral posts
K-Med reference. Let's go.
Every now and then through absolutely terrible and disingenuous takes like this one. But that's a matter for another.
The significant backlash that Saros is getting, well, we'll see it. It's actually significant when we get sales numbers, is making me think. A lot of the anti-woke crowd doesn't actually hate politics and games. They hate not being the default anymore. For years, I remember reading this one, games cater to those entirely to guys. So a certain slice of players got used to every protagonist looking like them and every story orbiting their comfort zone. Now, when a game shifts even a little away from that, they act like the medium has been taken over instead of just growing. What they want is sameness dressed up as purity. They want every game to feel like the ones they grew up with, so they never have to think about who else plays games. It is not about loving games as an art form. It is about wanting the industry to freeze in place so they never lose their spot at the center. It doesn't go for everyone. That might align with that crowd, though. There are some valid arguments to be made about shoving stupid shit into games just for representation, but I think most of these dudes are too dumb to think that deep. Yeah, I can agree with that. As for the like gaming is changing, yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And there, like I said, there are arguments to be made about some stuff that is, legitimately woke.
Another video, potentially the next video. There's another situation I'd like to cover because it's kind of a funny one, and you guys know that I love covering funny situations, but I'm definitely going to cover this one too. Until then though, that's it.
You didn't even say anything about it. You just said he was bad faith. What are you, a fucking wokey?
A Twitter pundit out there will strike some viral posts every now and then through absolutely terrible and disingenuous takes like this one.
Disingenuous takes, yeah, you sound like a fucking wokey. It's funny how you say this one. Let's see if you actually break apart this argument.
But that's a matter for another video. Potentially the next video. There's another situation I'd like to cover because it's kind of a funny one, and you guys know that I love covering funny situations, but I'm definitely going to cover this one too. Until then though, that's it from me on part 1 of Saros' controversy.
Part 1? Are you actually going to talk about Saros in part 2? What? Well, what do you mean?
I don't know, but I think it's about time that Sony woke up. With that said, fellas, I'm out. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry for the
But I thought the problem was that Sony woke up.
nasally or the raspy voice. I'll try to make it better through audio editing, but hey, you know, what are you gonna do? If you enjoyed the video, dropping a like or a comment helps immensely, and just thanks again. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Oh man, that was truly, truly awful video. I issue you 0 points. We are all dumber for having listened to that. Yeah, this whole video is a nothing burger. It's just making a video falling on the controversy, right? And that's really what it comes down to. This was about Saros, right? I'm not sure. Now that we're at the end here, I'm not really sure. He's gonna make Saros videos like Smash makes marathon videos. Oh yeah, probably. I hate to say it, but probably. Oh. What a video. That's about all I can say about that. But anyway, guys, it's after time. We're at 12:30 here. If you haven't liked the video, go ahead and like it before you leave today. If you want and you're new, give me a subscribe. And I will see you guys on Friday for more gaming slop.